The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey.
Why?
Let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers.
You ping.
Damn it! Your friend tell a friend something nice could change their life. Hello, beautiful people. And welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this true preseason Week 1 kickoff Thursday, August 8, 2024. This program starts now. Thank you all so much for joining us. The boys should have shouted football there, but I haven't been here for 2 days, so obviously shit has been a little bit loose around the Thunderdome. It is an honor to be back here, and it is fantastic that tonight, the true preseason of the NFL kicks off. Last week, obviously, we had the Hall of Fame game, and we got to celebrate what was great with the NFL over the past 100-plus years. Celebrate greatness and the men that have put this league on their back and carried us to brand new heights. But today, we start all eyes on this upcoming season. Who's playing, who's not playing? Panthers, Patriots, Lions, Giants, both at 7 o'clock. The Panthers and the Patriots will be on NFL Network. The Lions and Giants will be watched on local regional television, so we'll only see clips out of those games. We'll feel the beat here in about 14 minutes or so. You know, go around time to time, playing tonight to know the stories that we should be looking into, and also who's all going to be on the field for how long. Now, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have come out and said that they're going to be playing their starters. That is an anomaly. That is not normal. They're also the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Should other teams look at that in the same manner, or are all teams thinking what a lot of us think with clearer minds, like, let's not get anybody hurt on August 8th. Okay, we got a long season to go. The champs are doing it, though, so I do wonder what that means for future preseason games. But what we know tonight is there's probably going to be a lot of people we don't know playing football, except for the Patriots, who don't know what their future looks like. The Toxic Table is here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Con man, see you American out over there. Oh, yeah. Olympics still happening. Preseason kickoff tonight. We got good things happening in the sports world right now.
Yeah, sports are officially all the way back. It's very nice to have them back. The Olympics are, rolling. We have USA men's basketball today in the semifinal versus Jokic and the Serbian boys. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Drake May. First look at kind of the new Patriots era under Mayo. What's Mayo going to be like on the sideline? Is he going to be fiery? I don't know. Probably not in a preseason game, but it's going to be nice to see this new, rookie class debut, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, all those boys. I'm fired up.
Yeah, the Patriots playing tonight is obviously a big deal for Con Man because, hey, the season looked gloomy and doomy, doesn't it?
A little bit.
I'm a Brandon Ayuk and his people are like, we're not going there.
Not a chance.
You can understand that.
No.
They don't even know. They're ripping down Bill Belichick stuff off the wall.
Well,
they're not.
Yeah.
They don't know.
I don't know about that.
You see a little. You don't know about that?
Some signs. I don't know if it's Bill Belichick stuff. But
it's your job, not Bill Belichick stuff.
Well,
it's a documentary.
That's at every NFL building.
Now it is, yeah. After 50 years of being the greatest head coach of all time, I mean, you guys are painting the walls. We know, we know what you're doing. Not all of it, but certainly some of it. It's a new era. Brandon Ayuk choosing not to go there allegedly set you into quite a tizzy about the state of the Patriots. Yeah. From what I read and heard from yesterday's show, but I think the Ayuk situation seems like a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
It does.
It feels like it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
And we got the Panthers, Patriots, Lions, Giants. We'll talk about that. Obviously, big night tonight. But the big storyline basically throughout training camp has basically been Brandon Ayuk and the San Francisco 49ers. You can go all the way back to the draft whenever they draft Ricky Pearsall, who missed practice, I do believe. Shoulder injury. So who knows how that all kind of weighs into the plans. But if we're in mumbo jumbo season right now.
We are.
Big time.
Seems like there's a chance that there's maybe people stirring up a lot of this. And this is not, I've not talked to Ayuk's agent. I've not talked to the Steelers. I've not talked to the Browns. I've not talked to the Patriots or the Niners about this. But as I was just kind of following along on my phone like everybody else with this entire story, it feels like there's something that gets put in a tizzy here.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of, no. Well, that's been happening since March. What? So, okay. So then this one, and then kind of slows down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, nope, they're back in actually. Wow. And then everybody is wondering, is anything going to take place? Insiders, Rappaport and I believe Pelissero said that they think the two most likely outcomes are he either goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers or he remains a San Francisco 49er. It's like the more this kind of lingers on and carries on, the more I wonder how much there is. What are the two things? The steak in the sizzle in the steak.
Yep.
There it is. Yeah.
Feels like there's a lot more sizzle about everything that's potentially taking place, and the steak itself is remaining in the same exact spot. I guess the convo is nobody's been able to agree to a deal with him, and if they have been able to agree to a deal, they haven't been able to agree with the Niners on what to give up. Obviously, this is a number one wide receiver. Now, if he goes to Pittsburgh, he's going to help Pickens out a lot, who's also a number one wide receiver, so having two of them is obviously great news for whoever the starter is there, even though Russell Wilson still in pole position. Justin Fields obviously stealing the hearts of Yinzers every single day. But there's so much that goes into this, and then adding on the fact that Ayuk can say he doesn't want to go to a place, so then there's even more limited things. Feels like he's going to be a Niner. But once again, this is us just reading the tea leaves, because I think this all could change overnight if somebody wakes up and says, yeah, we will give up a second rounder actually for Brandon Ayuk. You watch one preseason practice, maybe it's the Browns, and they've been making moves at the wide receiver position over the last couple of years. Amari Cooper, obviously. Let's bring in Jerry Jeudy. Okay, let's do that. Let's make sure Deshaun Watson has all opportunity to be great. We're paying him $230 million guaranteed in this entire thing. Maybe they see a practice and they're like, yeah, we need one more. We need one more weapon, and it changes. So, big question marks. Great for the storylines, especially whenever we have no idea who's going to be playing in these preseason games tonight. Speaking of preseason games tonight, one of the teams is the New York Football Giants. We watch a lot of them in the offseason. A man who's joining us is obviously a Michigan man and also a New York Giants fan. Big Bruce Brown. How you doing, Bruce?
I'm good. You know, I couldn't sleep last night with the news that Dutch Danger is headed to, Ohio State.
Nice.
That was tough.
Okay.
But Giants,
Dutch Danger, pretty much sports. College football, 2K25. Was first coach of the Utah Utes. Won a couple natties.
Yeah.
A lot of glory.
Had a lot of controversy. Not as much as Michigan is seemingly in the middle of right now.
Oh.
I'll get back to that whole thing. Show cause, what's that mean? You got 4 years to show up and tell us what the hell happened, and then you're good?
Pretty much.
Because show cause sounds a little bit harsher than I think what it actually is.
Yeah.
Show cause is like you're actually showing why this potentially happened, as opposed to show cause where people are like, don't show your face because you cheated in this entire thing. The Michigan stuff, certainly fascinating, but Dutch Danger would then go to Notre Dame, he'd take the job. And that'd be a huge deal. Now, he is the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. So we are pumped about that. He is going to restore greatness to Columbus, Ohio, because they're in the year 2032. And I hate to break this to the Buckeyes, but on College Football 25, from the years about 2025 to 2030, bad.
Not
Losing
good.
season.
Bad. I don't know what's going to happen, but you're right. Dutch Danger makes a play. Giants play tonight, though. Anything you're going to learn from this, you think?
Probably not much. Most of the starters will not go, including Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors, but we are fresh off probably the best week of practice in the history of the NFL at these joint practices with the Lions. It is the most fired up I've been about the Giants since we beat the Vikings in the playoffs, just off these two joint practices alone.
You guys are showing a lot of grit and a lot of jam. These joint practices, the NFL sent out a memo to all the teams about a month ago. Is the time frame we were told, and said, hey, we're going to have these joint practices. There's got to be, this can't turn into Slapfest.
That's right.
No way.
No.
Okay, this can't be UFC. This can't turn into just beating each other up all the time. And the teams are going to get fined and punished if it does become that. So it's on the teams to tell the players, hey, this isn't just a fight fest. Now, I will say, as somebody who's been very fortunate to have a front row seat to a lot of football guys and a lot of football guys' conversations with people and what people judge football players upon, being tough and stuff like that is obviously a massive piece of it. Fighting for your people is a massive piece of the judgment as people are trying to put team together. Culture, we're all in this thing together, is another piece that's being judged. So you start adding all the ingredients of what training camp is, what coaches are looking for in players and their team. I don't know how joint practices don't become this, because if one of your guys gets in a fight or a little bit of a scuffle and then the other guys don't join them, that's bad news for your team.
Yep.
That's not good news for your team. That's bad news for your team. And the coach is probably going to use that film in the meeting and saying, hey, look, we got to go to bat for each other here. Even if a fight hadn't happened, even if it is just a little push, if somebody doesn't show up for somebody, which then escalates it immediately, I'm the dog. No, I'm the dog. We're the dogs. You're doing this in front of my dogs. We can't. We're the dogs. Like, that's just naturally going to take place in these practices. The NFL wanted to get ahead of it. They have yet to be able to do that. I don't know what the right answer is. And I mentioned this yesterday whenever I was having, terrible service in the back of a bus in Connecticut. Connecticut figured it out.
Yeah, now
we need better service.
No kidding.
It's like back in the day, there was only 4 teams that would every single year seemingly do joint practices. It was like a very normal occurrence for a couple teams to do joint practices. It'd be different teams that they'd fly in there, but it was like only a few teams would take advantage of the opportunity of bringing in a whole nother team into your building, because there's always conversation about it. Well, if they get in your building, what are they going to take? What are they going to leave? What are they going to do? That's the old paranoia thing that it used to be. Now it's like everybody is doing joint practices, because the benefits of joint practices in theory, joint practices give you an opportunity to set up situations that you might not get in a preseason game, so you see how people respond. We're talking like goal line shit, third down stuff, red zone stuff. And in the preseason game, you might land on a couple of those plays, but in these joint practices, you can literally set up 20 of them. Like, we can have 20 goal line plays right now to see how our new D tackles are doing, how our offensive line's doing. The tush push, we'll never be able to work this anywhere else against our own guys because we don't want to cut them out, but we'll do it against the other team. So now that it's become such a common occurrence, I hope they're able to figure out how to get practices out of this and not just fights out of this, because we're starting to see a trend now.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the last 24 hours, we have seen 2.25 Aaron Donaldses.
Yeah.
What are Aaron Donaldses? Well, if you go back a couple years back for a joint practice with the Rams, that's Aaron Donald in the middle there. That's Aaron Donald in the middle there, number 99. He is holding the helmet of the Cincinnati Bengals, I do believe. And he couldn't reach the person he was trying to fight. So he recognized quickly that the helmet gives him an extra 6-7 inches of reach.
Smart. Right.
He starts swinging that thing in the middle of the group. Now, that was an abnormal thing. The world got flipped upside down because of this. They were actually trying to suspend him real games.
Yep.
Media and fans were trying to suspend him real games for what happened in this joint practice. And this cannot become a trend. We all in the football world understand that. But in the last 24 hours, there's been 2.25 of them. Let's go to App State. Up on the Rock in Boone, North Carolina. Had a chance to be there to watch the Mountaineers look right in the middle of the stiff arm, grab, helmet, swing, bang, right in the back of the head. Bonk him. He bonks him right in the back of the head. This is the same team. This isn't even joint practice. So whenever you think about this happening with the same damn team, you have to wonder yourself, well, that's going to take place in joint practices, I guess, huh? Well, you hope not, but it did. Here's in the NFL. Obviously, Cincinnati Bengals take care of he's an absolute dog. He's an absolute beast. He's going to get in there. They're getting after it. Boom. Oh, was he going to swing that thing? Was he going to swing that thing? He was potentially going to swing that thing. Let's go to Seattle. DK Metcalf in the backdrop of an NFL Network show. You see on the back, like, started screaming, starting to get into it a little bit. Starting to dance, starting to do-si-do. DK Metcalf, number 4, boom! Takes it off and throws it. First time we've seen it thrown. He's probably watching the Olympics.
Yeah, hammer throw.
Field events, trying to get after it. So this is just within the last 24 hours. Okay, so I understand that the NFL and football as a whole is trying to make these practices more competitive as opposed to combative.
Yep.
I think it's a lost cause. And we must remember that although we see a few of these, it very rarely makes it to prime time.
Sure.
There's only been one time it's made it to the game.
Well said.
And if with the amount of people that are doing it right now, we can't see more of these in a game, because we all remember the Thursday night bonk.
Yeah.
The Thursday night swing that was heard around the world where Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph get into it. Allegedly, things were said. Then, no, nothing was said. Then a boom, bonk right on top of the head. What was that? I just got in the head. Yes, you did. Pouncey's obviously throwing blows. So the helmet takeoff swing thing is starting to become more common. We're here to say this can't happen.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't be doing this. But I am also here to say the fighting amongst joint practices, I don't know how you stop it.
Nope.
I have no idea how you stop it. I don't know what they're going to do, but hopefully they're able to figure it out, because as fans, there's some good clips coming out of these joint practices.
Awesome.
Whenever you're seeing one-on-one like ones, taking on ones from another team, all of a sudden we're getting like 4 preseason football games for the price of 1 preseason football game. We're getting highlights, we're getting clips, teams are getting better. It can be great, but I don't know how they sort it. I don't know how people don't fight every single time.
No, it doesn't make any sense because you can't like suspend them. Like when Aaron Donald, that whole thing happened, it's like, hey, you can't take these guys out of the regular season. Then you think like, okay, well, what happens if maybe you take the pads off? Does it get less violent? It's like, no, now all these fights are without helmets. Now these become actual fights. So I don't know if you ban them completely out.
Put the leather helmets on.
Put the leather helmets. Maybe incentivize. Like, hey, if you don't fight, we'll give you a pizza party after practice.
So I was thinking about this last night because there was $200,000 in fines, I guess, right?
Yeah,
For
for
Lions
both
and
teams.
the Giants for
Each
both
team,
teams. Yeah, 200,000. So if this is now the new standard, teams going into these joint practices say, hey, we will spend $100,000 on something for you guys to do.
Boom.
If we don't fight. Okay, both teams. Hey, immediately after this practice, we will spend $100,000. We can't just give you $100,000 because there's salary cap whole shit. But we will have the nicest restaurants over here. We'll have a bounce house.
No, there you go.
Man.
You guys get in a bounce house. Maybe even water slide, slip and slide. We'll spend $100,000 on the best night festivity for all of us to do if you don't do it. Because the players don't give a shit if the team's getting fined.
Bingo.
I don't know how you get the,
Yeah.
I don't know how. In MCDC, you think he's going to tell his team, hey, we don't fight, man, right? Like, if they fight,
Well, if they fight, we're going to fight.
we
but
have
we
to
don't.
fight, but we don't start fights. Well, actually, we do want to be a hit him in the mouth first. So
We're going to fight.
So we got to fight. All right, I'll tell Sheila Forham that 200,000 is probably coming right down the pipe. She's okay with it. She likes what we do. So this is how it goes. I don't know how they fix it. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is not just one man, but 4 people, because we are just a zoomed out 30,000-foot view of things. We are stooges. We like to go boots on the ground. We like to snoop around for what the real story is at the real place. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to feel the beat. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is an absolute beast. Okay, he writes for NorthJersey.com.
Of course.
All right. Everybody knows the website.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody goes there to get all the news and insight that you could possibly get for the New York Football Giants. He's also with USA Today, and he hosts the All In With His Name Show podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Art Stapleton. There it is. Hey, it's a good sign. Let's make sure we get that full screen on that thing right there. Yeah. All In. Oh, hey, it's a good plug. That's a good plug. NorthJersey.com right there on the top, too.
Love it.
Nailed it.
Love it.
How you doing, Art? How's life?
I'm doing well, Pat. You know, the other day I was looking for you and Michael Cole on the patio over at the joint practices. I figured we were going to have some fun.
Okay, so let's talk about it. We were just chit-chatting about how there was $200,000 in fines for both teams, and the NFL has warned the teams a month in advance, hey, with the ever-growing of joint practices around the NFL, we can't have these just be fights all day. We can't have people around the world thinking we're just a bunch of dumb meatheads who can't practice, we got to fight everybody. I don't know how they stop the fighting at joint practices, especially with just what the sport is, how the sport is, the positions, what's on the line, what's not on the line, the amount of money, dreams, also unity, camaraderie, fighting for your teammate. Like everything about training camp in football is fight for yourself, your position, your livelihood, and your teammates. So whenever you put another team on the field, I don't know how you stop it. Have you heard what Daboll's been telling the boys to hopefully not fight as much, maybe if they were to do this again? And how do you think it stops, Art? I've not been there, so I haven't seen it, but I've seen all the videos obviously roll out.
You know, I don't think they necessarily say, look, we're never going to fight. But I made this point that I think the Mara and the Tisch families, if you knew the Giants and how they were just run over last year in Detroit by the Lions in their joint practices there, they'd probably play, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times as much as it cost them this week to show that they're a little tougher this year than they were last year. So, you know, they don't want to fight. It gets ugly, especially when you've got, you know, Malik Neighbors is trying to fend off punches and throwing his own at helmets. But the league obviously did not want this for the next 3 weeks, where the joint practices, all they are videos from us putting them up there. But I think the Giants came out and they wanted to prove a point that they were not going to be run over by a Lions team that loves kind of flexing its muscles a little bit. And I think the Giants, it was mission accomplished in terms of showing that they would not be a pushover here the way they were last year.
Okay, so you're talking about ownership wanting to see it. Coaches definitely want to see it. Players definitely want to see it from their teammates. If they get into a fight, somebody's coming to join. So all parties are aligned except for the NFL. All parties. On the Detroit side, it's the same exact thing. Everything that Lions team has been built off of is grit and toughness, and we're going to, I don't want to say bully you, but we aren't scared to bully you.
100%.
So I like, and we actually said that about the Giants. We said, if you're a Giants fan, you got to be pretty pumped that they're answering the bell here to this Lions team. I didn't even know about last year. I completely forgot about that, which is why we bring you in. Let's talk about the team that's going to be playing this evening. Daniel Jones is out, but he's at a good camp, right? Who are we going to see at quarterback, and what should we expect from this?
I think you're going to see Drew Lock to start the game, but quickly, I think you're going to see America's quarterback, Tommy DeVito.
Oh, hey!
Out there for the Giants and doing what he can against the Lions. You think about what he did last year, throwing a touchdown, and no one knew who Tommy DeVito was against the Detroit Lions. And a year later, he wins 3 games and kind of helps the Giants at least salvage a little bit at the end of last season. So I think you're going to see that. You won't see Malik Neighbors tonight, but I think you'll see the rest of the Giants rookie class. Some good guys out there. Theo Johnson, the tight end from Penn State, might be a guy who gets some attention if he can make some plays early on.
Okay, you lose Wink Martindale as the defense coordinator. How's the defense look? Because obviously these first preseason games are sometimes, not the Hall of Fame game, but sometimes dominated by the D. Will we be seeing the same thing from the Giants tonight?
You know, I think style-wise, you're going to see something completely different than Wink, but I don't think you're going to see the Giants studs. That's one of the reasons why they went all out in the joint practices. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't expect to see any of those guys tonight. So that's why people are putting so much emphasis on the joint practices. But, you know, people want to talk about how the Giants aren't going to be as aggressive as they were with Wink Martindale. Nobody is aggressive as Wink Martindale. So I think they'll be a little aggressive again with Shane Bowen, but I don't think they're going to be going after the quarterback blitzing. I think they're going to let their studs kind of run up front.
Let's go to the other side of the ball for tonight. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, Art, how much progress have you seen from this new look offensive line with Luminor at right tackle? And how much more optimistic does this camp feel than camps of the past?
Much more in terms of the offensive line, because, you know, they tried the, draft guys and develop them route on the offensive line from 2 years ago. And last year it just basically hit a wall and, collapsed. I think this year they went and got veterans, John Runyon, Luminor is now playing right tackle. They signed Greg Van Roten last week.
Are they playing tonight?
I don't think they're going to play. I think the Giants are going to try to be smart about it, in terms of who's going to be out there. But what they bring is just an experience level that, especially Luminor at right tackle. I mean, he's a significant upgrade to what Evan Neal was last year, and you don't have to sit here and wait to see if Evan Neal is going to get to that point. Luminor is much better. They did great in one-on-ones against Detroit's defensive line this week. So overall, the first team offensive line should be better.
Okay, Ty has a question for you, Art.
Yeah, Art, what is the opinion of the fans and the media in terms of the front office kind of post Hard Knocks? Because it seems like outside of Giants fans, a lot of people came away like kind of questioning whether or not, that's the right group going forward, getting that kind of look that we're not privy to anywhere else.
I think there's a lot of support for them. I think just in terms of the process. I mean, if you look at what the Giants have had in their failures, it's been, the perception is that, their back office is a laughing stock, from Dave Gettleman as general manager. He didn't get along with the coaches. His ego got in the way of a lot of things. And I think this year what they wanted to show in Hard Knocks is that they have a process. Now, the process may be good or bad, but the reality is if the players don't hit, it's not going to matter. So I think there's confidence in that Joe Shane has the right people around him, Joe Shane being the general manager. Anyone who watched Hard Knocks, he was kind of the star of the show. But I think there's a little apprehension, but I think there's confidence that the Giants will be able to take a significant step forward this year.
Mara was the star of that show.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody be so consistently just, whoa?
Well, if that person signs the checks, I guess he can be whatever he wants to be, right, Pat?
Well, absolutely. 1,000% can walk into that room whenever and say, we're doing what? We're doing who? We're getting who out of here? That's our most popular player. How does everybody feel post Saquon? Obviously, we're not going to really feel it until we see him in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform and Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, if they're on the same page.
Whoa.
That's an interesting thing happening. We will certainly talk about that. Yep, you agree. Yeah, it is. I assume the entire NFC East is looking at that like, we didn't know that was a potential thing
That's
to add
fun.
in there. But nonetheless, no Saquon, post Saquon Barkley era. How's everybody talking about it? How's everybody handling it?
Well, they've replaced him with this wide receiver from LSU called Malik Neighbors. I think you guys may have heard of him. There's been a couple videos that have been out there. I think the fan base, especially the younger ones, have quickly replaced the 26 jerseys with whatever number Malik Neighbors is going to wear to start the season. He's in 9 right now. They're waiting to see because he's going to change out of that most likely. Graham Gano also has that number as their Pro Bowl kicker. But look, it's going to be the Neighbors show.
Graham.
It's going to be the way Dable wants to run this offense is going to be throw. And I think Motor Singletary will do a good job in their running game. Tyrone Tracy is another guy that you guys know, obviously, comes in from Purdue. And I think they'll be the 1-2 punch, but this is all about the throw. This is all about the throwing. This is all about Daboll trying to get the passing game going to see if he can get Neighbors and Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton and having this offense that finally awakens from its slumber, because the last 2 years the offense hasn't been great.
Yeah, it hasn't been fantastic, obviously, and Saquon's been like the pillar of the offense. So being able to move on from him, in Joe Shane's eyes, probably an interesting decision, especially when you're paying a quarterback what you're paying him. The Malik Neighbors stuff is interesting because we watched the entire draft process with Joe Shane, with Daboll, with the whole crew, and the way they talked about him, like, hey, will you be pissed if you don't get the ball early? Yeah, I will be. Yep. Or do you think like you're going to be somebody who's going to get mad or whatever? He's like, yep. And they're like, we just need you to take that in the right way. Is he a perfect match to Daniel Jones, who's like the polar opposite? Is there a sense like Malik Neighbors might bring something for Daniel Jones, the person, the attitude, the moxie, the player that he hasn't had before? Because whenever I see Malik Neighbors just jab Kirby Joseph in the face on the way back, it's like, this dude's a dog. Coming through the draft process, knew he was going to be a dog, drafted him because he is a dog. And then Daniel Jones, is he feeding off of that at all, or what is their relationship like?
I think he is. Among the Giants fans now, they look at Daniel. Is Daniel going to, has Daniel turned heel, Pat?
Yes.
Daniel with the beard. He's got the beard. He's got the leg sleeve. He's back from the ACL. Maybe Malik Neighbors kind of feeds into a little bit. You start painting the NWO on Daniel's back and, it's ready to go. I mean, I think that's what Giants fans are hoping, because they know the aw shucks Daniel Jones, and he's had his considerable ups and downs. Maybe he gets a little dog mentality too, and maybe Neighbors can bring that out of him.
Daniel Jones showing up in a tall tee as opposed to a polo would be sweet.
Need it.
You could have like the Daniel Jones Kirk Cochains turn last year. Could be a beautiful thing. Optimism in New York though for the Giants this year, or no?
I think there is, because there's a lot of feeling going back to 2022 when Dable's first year, people were pessimistic. I think I came on here with you and predicted 6 wins. They got 6 wins last year, but the first year they make the playoffs. I think they'll be competitive. I think Dable calling the plays on offense will kind of rejuvenate him on the sideline a little bit, keep his focus on the offense. And they have studs. They really do. It might not be a ton of them, but Dexter Lawrence might be the best defensive tackle in the league. Brian Burns, we expect big things from him. Kayvon. Andrew Thomas eventually might be the best left tackle in the league. And then Malik Neighbors, what he's done for this team, I think has just kind of brought a new era of kind of swagger that they have not had in a while.
How come Thomas isn't wearing the Guardian cap and then he's just injuring people?
Great
That's
his helmet is actually created for the Guardian cap. What the Guardian cap does, the helmet is actually one of those helmets
for
that's
himself. Yeah, we're talking about people that use the helmet as a weapon against others. You know, it is. We'll have Dr. Alan Sills actually on in the second hour. We're going to ask about this. Also, there's like a new Guardian rolling out in college with a safer. It's like a rubber. It's interesting, very interesting. We'll get into that later. We appreciate you. Enjoy tonight and enjoy the rest of the season. Thank you for taking time.
Fellas, thanks very much. Pat, thanks for making my Monday nights always fun.
Oh, hey. We got some good shit go. Big Bronson Reed one bananas. Oh, God.
Yeet, yeet. Yeet.
Hey, Jay Uso, obviously on Heller. Yeet, yeet. Ladies and gentlemen, Art Stapleton. Yeah. He talked about Brian Burns. Let's go to his whole time. Let's feel the beat. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, covering the Carolina Panthers, who take on the Patriots this evening. Friend of the program, ladies and gentlemen, Sheena Quinn.
Yeah, Sheena!
Sheena, I just see here, Pro Football Writers of America. I have no idea if that's a new title or if you've been a part of it, and I just didn't know that. Congratulations. We're happy your voice and your votes are about to be heard more. We need more Sheena Quick, not less.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've been a part of it for a couple of years now.
Good research, Pat. That's on me. We just talked to Art Stapleton of the Giants. He mentioned Brian Burns obviously being a big addition for them on the defensive side. We go down to Carolina, the team that you cover. Obviously, you lose Brian Burns. You lose the entire coaching staff. You still have Bryce Young. You bring in Leggett, okay, who we are massive fans of. What are the vibes of the Carolina Panthers this year, and what should we expect this evening, Sheena?
I think there's some cautious optimism just because of the rash of injuries lately in the last week or so at training camp. But I do think that this team is definitely going to be better than 2-15. And the vibes around the fan base and the players alike, they love the fact that Dave Canales is energetic. He's positive. He's he's uplifting, but he's also realistic. No one wants to, have the used car salesman trope that we got last season. And he seems to be very grounded in his expectations for this team.
Okay, who's playing quarterback tonight? What should we expect from starters or non-starters? Will we see anybody that's going to be making an impact this season, this evening?
No you'll have Jack Plummer, no Bryce Young, no Xavier Leggett, no Jonathan Brooks, which is to be expected. He's not going to play all preseason. But I think that we will get a good glimpse and a good look at Jatavion Sanders, who that tight end room, all three guys that were ahead of him on the depth chart are all out injured. So this is a great opportunity for him. He brings a different dynamic to this offense. They haven't gotten a lot of reception production out of that position since Greg Olsen, and that looks to change with both Canales and with Jatavion Sanders. So I'll be keeping an eye on him tonight.
Okay, maybe over for him. No matter. Let's think about that. And you talked about not a lot of receptions for him. There wasn't a lot of seemingly receptions for anybody because the quarterback. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Sheena, how has Bryce Young looked so far in his second year of camp? There was a clip of him that got released that everyone talked about, and it did seem as though he somehow got smaller. Is that the case, or was that video with that massive backpack just kind of like an optic illusion?
Yeah, it was a bigger backpack.
It's an optic illusion, and it's funny that you say that because there was a photo circulating of him in a throwing motion, and everyone thought that he had beefed up, but once again, it was just it was an angle. It was a good angle, but he didn't get smaller. I don't know whose idea it was to put the huge backpack on him. I knew the second that I saw it, I knew social media was going to go crazy with it.
Yeah, and also, we think he's going to be a guy with Canales. Right? We don't think that this is just going to be, because this happens to some young quarterbacks. You get in, it's a bad system, it's not meant for you, doesn't work out. We bring in somebody new, doesn't work out, but then that person says, I'm going to try somebody else to work out because you're not technically my guy. And I'm not saying they're saying that to Bryce Young or not, but if he has a bad year this year, this is it. We still believe in Bryce Young down there. There's still a massive belief behind him in the organization.
There is a massive belief because there was so much tied into him, and last year was just not a fair assessment whatsoever. But they've made a lot of changes in the offensive line. They brought in some receivers. So I expect him to take a leap this year. And just with the receivers that were already there, Jonathan Mingo, a lot of people forget about him. They forget that he was just a rookie also, but he got a lot of work in this offseason with Steve Smith. Looks like a completely different player in training camp so far. So I think that there will be a leap from Bryce Young because everyone around him is seemingly better.
We hope so, because, geez.
Seriously.
That was, like 200 fans in the last game down there in Carolina.
$2 tickets.
If that.
Okay, all right, sorry. We didn't get to count each individual. Let's head to Hammer, Dahn. Tone has a question about helping Bryce.
Yeah, I do. Sheena, you just mentioned Mingo, and obviously they bring in Leggett and Thielen. Outside of Thielen last year, there was no production from that position last year. So are they feeling much better? Especially, how is Deontay Johnson doing in camp after the trade from Pittsburgh? How does all the wide receiver room feel this year versus last year?
The wide receiver room did a complete 180. The vibes around that wide receiver room are very, very high. Like I said, Jonathan Mingo made the jump, but then you add Deontay Johnson, who's another set of sure hands for Bryce Young. And seeing him go one-on-one with J.C. Horn, iron sharpens iron. Those have been some battles in training camp. He and Bryce have looked good throughout OTAs. They got some work in off by themselves. So I think that the 9 to 5 connection seems to be very promising.
Oh, 9 to 5. I like that. Speaking of 9 to 5, is somebody doing as much work as they used to do? Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Sheena, do we know, is David Tepper taking a little bit more of a back seat with Dan Morgan and Dave Canales now that they're kind of the new regime in place? Because we heard last year on Mondays, he'd sit down with Frank Reich and kind of go through every single play. Hey, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And Frank Reich said, yeah, I certainly didn't love those meetings. So do we know, is he kind of just letting Canales and Dan Morgan kind of put their plan of action into place and taking a little bit more of a back seat?
From what we can tell right now so far, it appears that he's doing that. And again, Dan Morgan is a different type of GM than Scott Fitterer was, and he has a different tie to this organization and actually he's one of the only people in the front office that even remembers winning Carolina football. And I think all of those things come into play with David Tepper being a bit more confident that the football guys are going to get the job done this year. But the fact that remains to be seen is how long will he continue to take a step back? If this season doesn't get off to, a blazing start, is he going to be content and patient enough? So I do think that he's taking a back seat right now. How long he will stay in that back seat, remains to be seen.
He's not a backseat guy.
No, he's not.
The only time he's in the backseat.
You don't think so?
The only time he's in the backseat is like when in the mafia, when somebody sits behind the passenger seat and they're going on a trip somewhere.
Yep.
That is when Tepper sits in the backseat. It's whenever. Okay. Yep. Yeah, you're doing good. Good to see you.
Take a left here.
Good to see you. Good to see you. That Tepper's driving a bus. Tepper is seemingly in every profession that he's had. He has a lot to say, a lot of guys. We've seen it with the soccer team, obviously, in Carolina. Fire.
Yep.
Seen it with the football team. Fire.
Yeah, right.
And also take this sign down.
Yeah, going into restaurants.
I mean, he is hands-on. He is very hands-on. So if it works, it's not a big deal. But if it doesn't, like it hasn't, it obviously gets loud. He has seemingly acknowledged that. Has anybody said that from his department to you guys? Like, hey, he knows that it hasn't been great with him being in public as much as it has been?
Well, I actually talked to his wife at Bryce Young's camp, and we had a conversation. Yeah, we did. We had a conversation about that. We had a conversation about the hat issue when he went into the restaurant and how that came about. And he seems to have more confidence in Dan Morgan. I don't know what his relationship was like personally with Scott Fitterer, but he seems more content with kind of letting the football guys do the football thing.
Him walking into a meeting with Fitterer and walking out of it, this guy doesn't fucking know.
I hate this guy.
I gotta start running everything. It's awesome. Sheena, how many wins this year you think right now as we sit?
I'm going to go with 7.
All right, we appreciate that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot for a team that had less than 200 fans in their last game last year at home. Now let's see if they can make the big jump with Bryce Young being the Steph Curry of the NFL. We shall see. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheena Quick. Thank you, Sheena. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the Panthers will take on the Patriots. Who's the voice of the Patriots for this show? Well, let's go ahead and feel the beat. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, from NBC Sports Boston. And I say this as a compliment. He has a looking glass, seemingly, for how the season's going to go.
Truly.
For our program, he has come on numerous times before the season started and told Connor right to his face, hey, It's not coming around a mountain this year.
Yeah.
Hey, this is not going to be great.
No
Hey,
cavalry.
this is not going to be great. And he is obviously somebody that's covered the Patriots for a very long time, so he's comparing them next to like the greatest years of all time, but how could you not? Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Curran.
Yeah, Tommy!
How you doing, Tommy? You can't feel a beat. We're looking at you. I'm just looking at you, and that's just like, I assume you can't jump high, run fast, dance. You know what I mean?
Right.
I assume all those types of things. That's very rude of me, but I assume that's the case.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, okay. I like to hear that, Tommy. Let's talk about this Patriots team. We're in a brand new era, obviously. Are you happy about that? Not happy about that? Does it feel fresh in your personal, just your personal opinion, who has covered this team for a long time? I assume there's a lot of people that thought there was maybe some change that needed to happen. You personally, how does it feel with the Patriots boots on the ground?
It's jarring. It really is jarring to see somebody who was here for 25 years and built something that will never really be matched not be here. And what was interesting is we would watch joint practices between the Patriots and other teams, and we would frequently look at those other teams and say, they're not doing it right. And you get that way over the course of time. Connor can probably attest to this. You watch other teams make decisions, or the way they operate, or the transparency of them, and you go, that doesn't work. This is the way it works. And then it stopped working. So it's jarring to see the difference. It's jarring to see a first-year head coach, first-year defensive coordinator, first-year GM, first-year soup-to-nuts offensive play caller. Everything is new. But I do understand why the change had to be made. Happy, sad. It felt necessary, clearly, given the way the team. I mean, Kraft rattled his saber for 3 years. And to go 4-13, there was no way he wasn't going to make a move.
Yeah, big change, obviously. So now you guys are all who cover the team experiencing first with Coach Mayo. How are they going to handle this? Wolf, how is he going to handle this?
Yep.
How's Kraft going to handle this? Because you kind of have it figured out. Bill Belichick's not going to say shit about anything. Like, this is kind of how it goes. Situations arise. This is how Bill will handle it. You kind of got a grasp on how that'll go. Now, brand new everything. Dahn and Mayo, that practice conversation when Dahn was holding out from some of the practice drills whenever it was full pads, playing full time, wanted his money last year, didn't get to play as much. Obviously a weapon for the team. But you're watching Coach Mayo kind of handle that. Send him off the field, then he's back the next day. How is it watching Gerard Mayo go from player to seemingly coordinator to now head coach? And what is everybody's opinion of him, boots on the ground, with how he's handling the team?
Boots on the ground, the opinion is the Dahn situation, I think he navigated it really well. It could have exploded. I mean, it could have turned into a confrontation on the friggin' field. He didn't like Dahn's general demeanor out there, watching a practice, sitting on an overturned trash can, and asked him to leave. Dahn came back, spoke to the GM a few minutes later, but overall navigated it well because the guy was back out of practice. I think that could have been a very combustible situation. And that's where you're seeing Gerard tested in a way that Bill probably would not have been. And I think he passed that test. But I think we're still all very much, okay, you got to show me what you're going to do. Transparency, you want to be different. You want to be more open with the media. You want to be more of a player's coach. What does that mean? The interesting thing about the player's coach stuff, Pat, is they have practiced longer and harder in hotter weather than the last 2 years in the past week. He has busted their asses in the last week or two. They need it because they're not good. But
Okay, speaking of not being good, and I'm sure Connor ears perked up whenever you just described their practices, and then he'll have a few questions for you about how the team's going to be and how it's going to go throughout the season with two quarterbacks there. But the Ayuk stuff got real hot, real big, real big, real hot. And I still don't know if it's all mumbo jumbo, if it's real, what's not real. Right now, I don't know what's real and what's not real. And I assume there's agents that are at work right now stirring some stuff. There's probably agents of other players that are dropping some stuff in there too, because there's a lot of interest in this particular thing for teams, for coaches, for front office, for players. Like, a lot of people are involved in this entire thing. So what's real, what's not real? Allegedly, him choosing not to want to go to the Patriots was kind of the story that made its way out of there. Them being interested in Brandon Ayuk, how'd you feel about that? And then him ultimately choosing, allegedly, to not go to the Patriots. How do you feel about that?
let's start with the last part first. The Patriots right now are a little repellent. They've now been passed on by Calvin Ridley, passed on by Brandon Ayuk. They're not in a position to save face. They've had their face blown off. The only way they get back is reconstructive surgery, which means wins. In the end, with Ayuk, why don't players want to come here? Again, they don't know what they're getting in Drake May. They don't know what they're going to get with Gerard Mayo. It's cold, it's high taxes, and you're not going to be in the postseason. It's a tough sell right now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to overpay, and I don't think the Patriots are doing that. And even if they had overpaid marginally, I don't think players are really excited about walking into this. And so everything you presented, Pat, that it's really jumbled right now, I think the Patriots did the right thing in having made, as my buddy Mike Reese from ESPN reported, an offer upwards of $32 million in average annual value. We don't know how that divvied up, but it was going to make him the second highest paid in AAV. And it's still jumbled. You say, you know what? This is confusing. We're going to give $32 million to a guy who just might not want to be here, which makes him the most important player on the team. Let's just push away from the table on this. I think that's the sensible thing to do because, Connor, I said this throughout the offseason. After watching Mac Jones last year, I can't watch another quarterback held at the mercy of an offensive line that can't stop anybody, because then people turn into jello.
You have to build your culture before you have anybody join it. You know, Chris Ballard told us that back in the day, and he's obviously not the one that created it, but he was the first one that made me really think about it. Because if you don't have your culture built and then you bring somebody in who's paid the most, it's that person's culture now is the one that's about to be built, as opposed to that person joining your culture. So in the first year head coach, first year GM, paying that and then saying we're just going to focus on our guys, I think that's big for the locker room. I genuinely think it's big for the locker room. But Ed Ayuk would be nice for maybe a rookie quarterback. Speaking of, Conman's got a question for you.
Yeah, Tommy, tell me something good about the progression of Drake May. Obviously, early on when the pads came on, there were some problems, but as of late, I have heard it has been much better. You mentioned the O-line. Allegedly, that first team has been great, but between Drake May and also the rookie wide receivers, is there a lot of hope, going forward this year? Not expecting much, but looking at year 2, year 3, does this young core have what it takes, you think?
Yes, I'm optimistic about it. I think May is exactly where you'd think he would be, as the guy who was taken with the least amount of experience, looked at footwork-wise. You had him, Pat. Bill immediately seized on, there's some work to do there. Yeah. And there is. Yeah. But he's and he's shown the improvement. He still absolutely bangs into the guardrails, but you're seeing throws that other guys haven't been making. Ooh. There was a throw to Keyshawn Boutte and then followed up by one of this kid, Jaheim Bell, 7th round pick, just perfectly positioned over Christian Gonzalez, one of them. He is. Do you guys remember Bledsoe? Am I that old? Do you remember Bledsoe's?
I just saw the roast. Yeah, he did great. He had wine. He looked super casual.
He was number 1 overall pick in 1993. The team went 1-11. He had a game with 5 picks. They lost the game 7-2 to Pittsburgh.
Jeez.
7-2.
Hell yeah.
But by the end of that year, and they had Parcells, it's different, but they reeled off 4 wins at the end of the year, and by that time, you're like, this kid's really friggin' good. And I think that's what you'll probably see, that kind of boom, 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 boom. Where's my hand? There it is.
Yep, boom, 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 boom.
And then
bang.
He's going to have like that. And you have from. That's why I think tonight, Connor, put him out there, second play, throw it 71 yards down the field. Yes. I don't care if it's off, lands in the cheerleaders, whatever. Just show the people something to get excited about.
Okay, so Drake's playing tonight. Jacoby playing tonight. Who's all playing tonight? What should we expect from the Patriots as they take on the Panthers this evening?
Jacoby is playing. I would imagine it's just going to be a cameo. Then Drake May will be in. Hopefully, to me, he gets more than a quarter and a half. Give him 2 quarters and then give Bazooka Joe Milton the last quarter.
Okay. And they're saying Bazooka Joe Milton's the guy up there. He can really spin. He can do a backflip. I saw he's obviously sensational.
Running a 7-play offense.
The arm is stupid fast. I mean, it is ridiculous. But, he's nuclear loose right now. Everything is a fastball.
Paul Skeens, baby. Yeah, all right, hey, enjoy the rest of the season. We appreciate you. From NBC Sports Boston, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Kerr.
Yeah, Tommy!
The Bazooka Joe Milton.
I mean, that's one of the best nicknames I've ever heard.
Him eating Bazooka Joe gum.
Yeah.
While Oh, This is Bazooka Joe Milton.
I got it.
Doing backflips, throwing the ball at 90 yards or whatever the case is.
Yeah, that's been the thing. Hey, you ask Joe Milton to throw it 90 yards, he's going to throw it 90 yards. You ask him to throw it 10 yards, he's going to throw it 90 yards.
What's your problem?
That's what, hey, that's just been the thing.
What's your problem?
I love it. Hey, put the guy in the fourth quarter.
I do appreciate Tommy bringing up, like, as you had Bill Belichick on draft night, he pointed out that his feet are a problem and everything. It's like, he pointed that out about everybody.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots fans, like, assumed, and I don't want to say you guys make everything about you, but I think the Patriots fans were acting like Bill Belichick only broke down the New England Patriots quarterback that got drafted high. It's like, he had breakdowns on everybody. It wasn't just Drake's feet either. If you were listening to the entire,
yeah, right.
There was he dissected him. He dissected everybody that got drafted up there because that's like the reality of a situation. And I think what Bill Belichick was trying to do, even though some people were calling him a hater and all this shit, he was trying to set realistic expectations because I think he got sick of people on TV saying, this is the one that could change the entire program. He's like, every time somebody gets drafted, this is a new Hall of Famer. It's like, that's not the case. Here is an actual thing that needs to get better or this person's going to be a bad football player. He did that for everybody alongside NFL films. So what he pointed out about Drake, like, I think was fantastic for Patriots fans to see because now the expectation of Drake is exactly like what Tom said. He's exactly where we thought he was going to be. That's good news for Drake May, I think. And maybe you guys will give him a little bit of time and patience and not just run him out and kill his confidence immediately.
For sure. And Bill brought up like his short throw accuracy and how like hitting the layups is something he had to work on. But the best part, I think, is not only the fans, but also some of the sports reporters up there are saying like during this camp, hey, this guy's feet stink. Why did we draft him when the entire story, this whole entire time was about his feet stinking? So even Bill saying that, people just forget about it, throw it to the wayside, and then bury the exact reason what he had to work on when camp starts.
Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the last time. Let's feel the beat. Lions, Giants, Patriots, Panthers. We've had somebody from Carolina. We've had somebody from the Patriots. We've had somebody from the Giants, but we haven't had any representation from Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is the founder of the Detroit Football Network. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Rogers.
Yeah, Justin.
Going on, fellas? That sounded kind of sweet. I like that intro.
Hey, listen, I appreciate the fact that you're representing the city of Detroit, and now the Lions are no longer, you know, the little old, same old Lions. This isn't a, hey, if we win 8 games, 9 games, that'll be a good season. Now it's like Super Bowl or bust for Detroit. Do we love that? Do we hate that? And how do the people of Detroit feel about it all?
Oh, you know how the people of Detroit feel about it. I mean, they are just, you know, over the moon. You know, we've talked about in this town for years, if there's ever a Super Bowl parade, you know, it's shutting the city down. For me, it's great. Look, I don't like covering 3-win teams. I don't like covering mediocrity. It's been fun to cover a successful team. Everybody's happy, from the players to the coaches to the fans, and so it's been a real nice change of pace, Pat.
What should we expect tonight from the Lions? Obviously, we watched the Lions-Giants joint practices, a lot of fighting, which we would expect from Dan Campbell's Lions team any joint practice. Now, $200,000 in fines have been levied against both organizations and programs, but this is MCDC football, right? This is Lions football, and should we expect to see more of this evening?
Yeah, look, Dan Campbell, I think it was maybe his first training camp practice of 2021, told us a story about how Bill Parcells would pull him aside, and when they needed some energy in practice, he'd have Dan start some fights. You know, so this is definitely in character for these Lions. They know how to, you know, toe the line, not go too far. You don't want anybody punching a helmet, breaking a hand, but I think the intensity was welcome from the coaching staff. I would not expect this in the preseason game. You know, now the guys are getting evaluated. You're trying to make a roster. You don't want those 15-yard penalties on your evaluation. Tonight is the Hendon Hooker show. You know, that is what I think everybody's come to see. You're not going to see a lot of starters in this game because you got the joint practices. The backup quarterback, despite Jared Goff being firmly entrenched as a starter, people have been very curious about Hendon. This is going to be his first game. Missed all the preseason last year, coming back from the ACL. And so, you know, people are really excited to see what he's about.
How do we feel? What have you seen from him, and should it look good? And the big part of preseason football, sometimes quarterbacks get knocked for how they perform in preseason football when the wide receivers have no idea what the routes are. The offensive line, how is the depth of this Lions team, and should we get a fair shake at what Hendon Hooker could be as an NFLer for at least a quarter this evening?
Yeah, I'll start with Hendon, right? The mechanics have been rebuilt a little bit coming from Tennessee. A lot of one-step drops in that program. Now he's doing 3, 5-step drops. He's still kind of getting the timing down from the feet to the upper body to, just the mentals of it. So it's been inconsistent, but you see some of these just incredible, beautiful throws that he made in college, and you see how it translates. So it's just a matter of him reaching a level of consistency. In terms of depth, that has been really kind of the thing that's thrust the Lions to the next level. General Manager Brad Holmes has just knocked out of the park through the draft, through free agency, building depth, not just at like 1 or 2 positions, but almost every position on this roster. You look at top to bottom where are the weaknesses on this team, and there are just so few, and I think that's why we're talking about him as a Super Bowl contender.
Feels like a Lions night tonight. Speaking of the Lions having a night, a man who's had too many beers because of victories.
Yeah.
Evan Fox has a question for you, Justin.
Yeah, Justin, I'm one of those fans that want to see the Lions win a Super Bowl, but in order to do that, we're going to need a kicker. And we lost Michael Badgley for the season at the beginning of this training camp, and we got UFL standout Jake Bates in there. How is he doing? Do you think he's going to win the position? Because we're going to need someone to win some games at crunch time in the fourth quarter here.
Yeah, Foxy, you know the kicker situation here. Since Prater was allowed to walk out the door, which wasn't the wrong decision at the time when you're doing a rebuild, you don't maybe necessarily sign a late 30s kicker. It has been an absolute revolving door. I think more than a dozen at this point. None of those 3 seasons has the guy that started the year as a kicker finished the year as a kicker. So, I really thought Badgley was going to win this job despite some of the hype for the other guys this year. The injury was really unfortunate. Right now, Bates is the only guy in camp. So is he going to win the job? I mean, he doesn't have any competition, but I do think they need to add competition. Bates is, for as big as the leg is, right? Multiple 60-yarders in the UFL, 64-yard game winner. There is some inconsistent issues with him. Certainly in the last few training camp practices, had a 7 for 14 day and then a 6 for 9 day. The way you practice tends to pour into the game for the kickers. And so, it's a big night for him, but I really think the Lions need to add a veteran in there, if nothing else, to just push him to get over some of those developmental hurdles. That's a guy that didn't kick field goals in college. So, there is not a track record there to really lean on to believe he's going to pull himself out of it.
Well, he seemed to show up in big moments, but big moments in the UFL, is that actually a big moment? Not a lot of tickets being sold. NFL now, here we go, getting thrusted into the spotlight. If there's no other kicker on the roster, he's taking all the kicks too. Fresh out of a UFL season, so there might be a little fatigue in the leg, which might lead to a little inconsistency. We shall see. But when the lights come on, Jake Bates buries balls. That's what we know about him.
We need it.
Yeah, that's crazy to hear him talk about the way the kicker situation has gone up there. I haven't really paid attention enough. I guess I should have. What's going on? You guys just run people out of town?
Well, we also love to go for it on 4th down. So that's kind of part of it as well.
Oh, yeah, because if you do remember, Judge, whenever he was the head coach of the Giants, early in the game, wanted to get his punter into the game.
Yeah.
Some of those kicks in the first quarter, second quarter, let your kickers get out there and just make one, just make an easy one, might be beneficial for later that they had seen a ball go through the uprights. But also, you have one job, go make a fucking kick. So there's so many different ways to view it. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Hey, we won the Super Bowl this year, Justin. What do you think?
That is a bold prediction, but I'm trying to get subscribers now, so yes.
And you can go to the Detroit Football Network and follow along with Justin and the rest of the Detroit Lions season. We can't thank you enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Rogers.
Yeah, Justin.
I like feeling beat. I feel like we learn a lot.
Yeah.
A ton.
Oh, tight end Cuzzy tonight's about to have a big night.
Tavius Sanders.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then the thought that nobody's really playing for one team, the other team has a lot to prove is a big deal. These are the things we can learn about these preseason games. And also, I hope we get to see Hendon Hooker actually play. Because when he was at Tennessee, game day went to multiple Tennessee games because of what Hendon Hooker was doing with Heupel. It's a different offense, obviously, but why not see the Hendon Hooker show today?
Yeah, very excited. Lions fans haven't seen any of them because he had that ACL injury. So this is really the first time we'll get to see that. It's awesome.
The good news is they just paid Goff forever million.
So much money.
So
all of them.
If Hendon Hooker could play well, you guys know that if anything happens to the Goff, we got a guy behind him. Right now, though, we're not going to be able to watch the game because Panthers and Patriots are on Info Network. Lions Giants is going to be in an abyss somewhere you can't find.
That's the Drake May effect, baby. Everyone wants to see the prince who was promised in New England.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact you're like, New York market, we got one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got a Boston market. Okay. That's what we'll put on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about the storyline? Hendon Hooker, everything giant. don't care.
They don't care.
What are we talking?
I'm sure Tepper, too. Hey, you put my boys on TV.
We'll be back for hour 2. AJ Hawk will join us, and so will Dr. Arthur Seals. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change your life.
Hello and welcome to Office Championship Wrestling live in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tonight we have a straight to hell match in which the Devil will battle against our office wrestler, Dylan Boston. You might be wondering how we got here. Let's find out right now.
And now we have to make a deal with the devil.
Yeah, no big deal. Classic trial by combat situation. We got our champion, Dylan Bostic. All he's got to do, win the match, 1, 2, 3, and we're home safe.
The only man that would take the job to protect us from the devil himself, Dylan Boston.
Like you mentioned, Pat, there's probably about 5 or 6 other guys we'd rather have in this position, but we'll take Bostic, I guess.
Not only are all of our souls on the line, the Office Championship Wrestling Championship, presented by Natural Light, is also on the line.
Jesus, the devil's trying to put Bostic straight to hell!
I do not want to go
Good
to
God,
hell!
no!
Don't do
Good
it!
God, no! Come on, Bostic, Pat!
Oh, no! Oh, my...
I'll see you in hell, Pat. The goddamn Easter Bunny's out here! What the hell's he doing here?
The Easter Bunny is obviously here to help Dylan Bostic. Wait a minute. No!
Oh, no!
The Easter Bunny's been on the devil's side this whole time. Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
What the hell's Jesus Christ doing here?
The power of Christ is compelling Dylan Bostic.
Look at this, Pat! Jesus Christ is bringing Bostic back to life! Jesus is going insane! And now Bostic's kicking wholesale ass in the ring!
Jesus Christ has come to help Dylan Bostic defeat the devil and defeat the Easter Bunny. What's gonna happen here?
Good God Almighty, it looks like he's going up in the scissor lift!
Jesus is lifting the scissor lift! Jesus is now telling Bostic to come down from
Don't do it, Bostic! Don't do it! Oh my God! Bostic's dead! He's dead! You can't tell from home, but that scissor lift is about 8 stories up, Pat!
80 feet in the air! Oh wait! He's tuning up the bed! The devil!
Super kick! Into the casket! The devil goes down! The devil goes down!
Shuts the casket!
Straight
back to hell! The devil goes straight back to hell, where he belongs!
With the assist from Jesus Christ of Nazareth!
Dylan Bostic saves the PMI office's souls and wins the OCW championship.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
Why?
let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
McAfee on the line with a gorgeous assist.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, UP!
Damn it!
Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to our hub of the bow, the Thunderdome, on this official preseason kickoff. Thursday, August 8, 2024, hour 2 of the program starts now. No. Don't do it, Foxy. Foxy, I don't know what they're trying to do. Foxy, I don't.
That's why I cut to you there.
Yeah, I thought there was some excitement, for football happening, and then in the first hour, it was just big old dud.
I wasn't sure what to do on either of them.
Isn't it interesting? Because I woke up this morning Zeke. I knew that these two games were tonight.
Look,
I know who
We
was
got
playing.
Hendon Hooker tonight.
We do this
Yeah, we
bullshit.
do.
Every year we do this bullshit. It's great to have football back in pads on the field. This isn't what we play for, okay? We play for September 4th. We play for 28 days from right now. We don't play for the week 1 of the preseason. But, hey, I love yelling shit. So, yeah, sign me up for yelling football.
How
Sure.
many days until college football?
We are 16 days away from Ireland in college football.
That's the talk table at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. And then there is a man who is obviously a coastal elitist, but a massive New York Giants fan. What will tonight look like for the rest of the season for the New York Giants?
Uh-oh.
Because unlike everything that Boston Connor just said, tonight matters.
Yeah.
For Bruce Brown.
Bruce.
Tommy DeVito is going to spin it.
Yeah,
I know that.
he certainly is. Tommy DeVito and also Drew Lock are playing quarterback for the Giants this evening. So there's some experience.
Okay.
There's some real experience in the game.
Yeah.
And then you think about Hendon Hooker. He's going to be playing a bunch for the Lions. He's a good player. Then whenever you think about the Patriots, you got Jacoby playing at least one snap probably, and then you got Drake May coming in there. Bryce Young will not be playing.
Nope.
So that won't be the conversation around Carolina. The person that will be playing for them is Jack Plummer, who obviously we know the family lineage of.
Right, Plum.
And then Jake Luton, who was signed on Monday.
The Snake, yeah.
So out of all these teams, I think there's one particular team where we don't really know what to expect from the quarterback position. But that is the fun part of preseason. Any one of these players on this field tonight can make a name for themselves. They can go from being a bubble potential future insurance salesman to a future Hall of Famer.
That's right.
All you got to do is make 1 to 2 plays. Now, the joint practices are obviously a place you can do that as well, but when the lights are on and you're on NFL Network, there's an opportunity to showcase to the world what you have. So good luck to all parties playing tonight. But yes, I very much understand by the second quarter, we're all going to fucking hate what we're watching.
Without a doubt.
But right now, we still got the first quarter.
Yeah.
So let's remember that.
For sure.
Joining us live from an attic in Ohio is a man who drove out here to the Thunderdome the last 2 days to host alongside the boys. He's a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a Ryder Cup winner. Ladies and gentlemen, the former president of Ohio, A.J. Hawk.
Hey,
Hawker, good to see you yesterday on your way out, pal. That's a nice truck you got.
Yeah, it was. It was nice to see you as you were just getting back into town. But I think you're right, man. This first quarter is going to be amazing. Now, I can't speak for after that, but I'm pumped for like the pregame warm-ups, like the anticipation of everything, and then the whole first quarter.
Yeah, you're right. The pageantry, the pregame. You know.
Yeah.
Caleb,
you can feel the juice. We'll be able to feel that NFL energy again.
Yeah, I agree completely. And we'll see NFL helmets, and we'll see NFL uniforms, and we'll hear NFL voices, and we'll be like, whoa, wait a minute, are we back in NFL stadiums? Oh my God, Colts got a game this Sunday at home.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm putting in an order for the suite, for the food,
Pumped.
for the ticket, like pumped to get
Yes.
back. That is what this is about.
Sure.
It isn't about second, third, fourth quarter tonight.
No, it's not.
Well,
Now, for a lot of people, it is.
Yeah, even then, it's still kind of like I'm excited to see Drake in the second and third quarter too.
Yeah, okay, so let's just, the back half of the third quarter and fourth quarter, there's going to be guys playing every single snap, potentially in both directions.
That's right.
Puking all over the place, trying to tap out. One look at the sideline, there's going to be people saying, there's nobody. There's nobody.
It's you, buddy.
All right, I took my tape off, guys. You're going to look over, and your buddy, you want to come in, already has his tape in his hands, has his gloves off, shoes untied. Maybe his shoulder pads even on.
Yeah, speaking of that, we need to stay away from the shot of the cleats, because Caleb at the Hall of Fame game, he was warming up, and his shoes completely untied.
Yeah.
So it's like, we know.
He's not playing.
What is this, a photo shoot? What are we even doing out here? Feels like Chicago's on the up and up.
Big time.
That NFC North is about to be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Before we dive into all that, we know the Lions are playing tonight. Let's head to Hammer. Dahn. Tone, what do we know about the games tonight? Who's playing, who's not playing? And also, the Olympics. The Americans are just 5 medals away from cracking 100 medals at this 2024 Olympics in Paris. What do we need to remember or know about, Tone?
Yeah, tonight you guys talked about the quarterbacks who are playing, and for those reasons, the Giants are 3.5-point favorites because Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, those are guys with starting experience. The Lions with Hendon Hooker, this will be his first action that he gets, so they're giving the Giants the edge in that one with a 3 and a hook there. And then the Patriots went from 3.5 to 6.5, 7-point favorites some places when it was announced that Bryce Young's not playing. Obviously, Andy Dalton's out as well with a quad injury. So you talked about Plummer and Jake the Snake Luton going there against basically the entire Patriots lineup. So that's why those teams are favored. If you money line parlay those two favorites, it's plus money. It's like plus 110, something to think about there. If you don't believe in the Hendon Hooker hype just yet. Olympics yesterday, just This USA team has miles and miles of heart. This USA track team,
Yes, sir.
They do not give up. Okay, it started with the 1500 a few days ago, and then it continued yesterday. The 400 meters, the gold final, it looked like there was just absolute no gas left. Okay, we're making the final turn here.
We're in the 7th lane.
Just absolute jets. Okay, from Quincy Hall.
All you got, Quincy!
Come on.
Finish the race, Quincy!
Wow.
Everything you have, Quincy! You will outlast them, Quincy! Gold medal in the Olympics!
Come on.
You could hear his coach. You could hear like the years and years and years of practice about finish. You have nothing left, neither do they. And to your point, Tone, Quincy, obviously, magical comeback. He comes from like 5th place all the way to winning in the final 110 meters or whatever the math is for whatever they run in Europe, and then we have to run for the Olympics. It's not yards, it's whatever. I'm trying to keep up with it all.
Yeah.
But when you talk about that Hawker also, he's out, gas, completely out. He catches, and then he looks like has nothing left. Just a little bit more gets the win, let alone Noah Lyles at the very end, just a little bit more to be able to get the win. I don't know who our USA track coach is. I don't know who the strength and conditioning coaches are, but their messages are hitting home more so than everywhere else, because the way we finish when we're exhausted is such a great depiction of what you would hope that your athletes would have, and everybody is kind of fourth quarter. That's all anybody says in football world. Put your fours up. Like, hey, this is where we take them to the deep end, and then we do what the water polo team did, try to drown them and kill them.
That's right.
Yeah, U.S. water polo team got a red card yesterday for
brutality,
which means trying to kill somebody.
That's right. They won in the last second, too.
I love the grit that our track and field is showing, water polo is showing. Our men's volleyball team in the semifinals yesterday gave up a 2-1 set lead over Poland.
Yeah.
They end up having to play in the bronze medal game against Italy, as France and Poland will battle for the gold medal in that particular sport. But what the United States is doing in this thing is awesome. We needed it, Tone.
We did, and the men's volleyball, they won this morning, so they'll go on to the finals. The women's volleyball, they won this morning, so they'll go on to the finals. They beat Brazil.
Huge. Come on.
Huge. USA and Brazil in volleyball have a historic rivalry.
It was a rematch of the Tokyo 2020 gold medal game. Also,
suck it.
Miles and miles of heart. And you want to talk about being dead tired. The 3,000-meter steeplechase, okay? We had a guy. Well, yes, there is that.
About being dead.
There is that. Well, he's okay. Okay, he was knocked unconscious.
No, he's dead.
The Ethiopian runner here, when they come over.
Oh my God! Big back bump, big twisty back bump.
About to win gold.
Bronson Reed on top of it.
He was the world record holder.
No.
He's okay. He'll be all right. That guy in the U.S. jersey, though, Kenneth Rooks, had the longest odds in the field to medal. Okay, and then that last 400 meters, he just turned it on. He's got miles and miles of heart. He would not be passed here. He comes home to win the silver.
Look at that. He was passed.
Yeah.
He's got nothing
Again,
left.
hard.
Finish. That's all you ever hear. And we are this is awesome to watch, AJ.
Yeah.
Legitimately. It feels so good to see the USA tanks running in seemingly, because in the past, I don't watch enough track meets. I apologize.
Or steeple.
Sure. First of all, steeplechase, that has to be the dumbest one.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Why do we need the water? Why the water?
You're going to splash your foot, get your foot all wet.
I'm sure it's very historic. It goes back to Greece, you ignoramus, whatever they want to call me. It has to be the dumbest one. Okay, by far the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. What are we even doing here? But I appreciate that they're competing, and everybody's got to compete in the same stupid thing. You got to be explosive, right?
Yeah, right.
You got to have good timing. You got to have good conditioning. The steeplechase presents new challenges that nothing else has. No shit. There's pools. I mean, it is. I don't get it. I'm not a big track person, but watching our seemingly get walked in track, that's how it goes. You've lost all your gas.
Yep.
They pass. Who has it? For multiple United States track stars to get caught and then just somehow find another gear to regain. It's been beautiful. I've been so inspired. I'm I love what they're doing out there.
Yeah, comebacks too is what makes track and field so special. I feel like because obviously with like Usain Bolt and all those guys, it is sweet when there is one person just blowing everyone out of the water. But the comebacks have been incredible. And just talking about comebacks too, you can throw Scoot Scheffler in there because Scoot Scheffler's comeback kind of kicked off this whole entire thing. Really.
Well, with track too, like when you have really long odds like that, like track, like, yeah, they're all fast, but typically like if you're plus 1,500, plus 2,000 to win, like you're not winning.
Yeah, so the steeplechase is actually from Ireland. So
Oh.
the
That's
event
your
originated in Ireland,
homeland, right?
Where horses and riders race from one town. See if there's horses involved. I'm in.
I kind of like
Oh, that would be so.
Dude, it's Saratoga. It's actually
And it's always
also pretty dumb.
It's always raining there. Is that why they include the water?
I assume it was just a puddle. They said.
Yeah, it used to be like a natural course. Like you'd run out through nature and there was water and everything. So they tried to simulate
800 years ago.
That's how they made bunkers.
Something about steeplechase that's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, you know, now that I
Interesting
really
if they
think
rode a
about
horse. If you got to jump on a horse, you know, when they have like the mix, like the male females. If two of the runners rode a horse and the other two ran, or you rode a horse and then ran, that would be a pretty cool event.
A mixed relay, but then we need to know that horse is from the country.
Yeah,
true.
That it's racing for.
Yeah,
they paint the flag.
They can test them.
Yeah, well, do the test. Let's move along.
Good call.
They know the sire. They know the sire.
Let's move
and stuff.
along.
Yeah, can we get a gold? Can we get a gold medal update on that one?
We won our second gold in women's wrestling yesterday.
Hell
and,
yeah.
And Hildebrandt won a gold. We won a gold in cycling yesterday with women's team pursuit. Boom!
Indoor. That's from the same lady that just started 7 years ago. She led the team. She has 2 gold medals leading our cycling team. Just started cycling 7 years ago. Shout out.
And then Hampton Morris won our first lifting medal in 40 years. He got a bronze yesterday. And then
40 years.
a matter of moments ago, Spencer Lee, who is just the most dog of dog wrestlers that we have, just dominated the semis. Say he'll be going to the finals tomorrow, I believe.
And wait, you guys are calling him Spank, I believe, earlier?
The big Spank?
I'm not calling him Spank. I mean, he spanks people out on the mat, but no, it's Spence Lee. Everyone knows that.
I watched that Matt Madness. Just whole new respect for the sport, the energy, everything about it. Obviously, at my high school, there was a wrestling team. I did watch their matches, and I understood how miserable it was to do that. Too. Very good. Yeah, our team was pretty good. The Pellegrini, Sean Clare, there was like a group of dudes that would go on to wrestle like D1 and stuff. But once you see like the Matt Madness and the energy and the environment, it is gladiator-like.
Yeah.
It is like, it is a very sweet. I don't know what the Olympic setup is. I haven't got a chance to see any of it. And the Greco-Roman, we've learned, is only touching above the waist.
Correct.
So it's a lot of
upper body.
Judo. It's like the judo throw.
Kinda.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of hip and then a swing.
Do we have any Guinea updates?
Yeah, what's country Guinea doing?
Dominating.
Do you know that? I haven't heard them in one of these updates yet.
I didn't know if there are any Guinea runners.
Really good at organized crime, spaghetti, meatballs, stuff like that.
No, you see, that's not what he. Whoa, we're talking about the country of Guinea.
You were. I thought we were talking about what Connor was asking about.
That's what he was asking about.
Tony.
That's what he was talking about. James Louise.
Don't do this, Tony.
Yeah, we don't need to start that, especially with the Irish slander that there was earlier about the birth of the steeplechase.
Which is a great race.
It is so dumb.
Yeah.
And every time I watch it, I just think, how do you end up with this?
Well, it was electric yesterday.
Yeah.
It was.
I literally just got back into the building yesterday as that happened. There was a ooh through the Thunderdome yesterday as that big swirly back bump obviously knocked unconscious but moved forward. Speaking of moving forward, we appreciate you, Tone. Good work.
Thanks, boys.
And I understand I'm too dumb to understand a steeplechase. We'll keep it moving. There's a lot of those sports I don't understand. Handball had an electrifying final.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the no-look goal.
No, there was a last-second tie to send it to overtime. Like it was.
Oh, is that the Germans?
Yeah. It was, which is a sport we don't understand, but one look at it, we would win that.
Yeah.
Just, once again, American exceptionalism, ignorant stooge that I am. Great sports. Thank you to the Olympics for everything they've done.
Absolutely.
Over the last couple of weeks. And great work, Tone. Talking safety, you got to talk CMOs.
Yep.
And CMOs are not chief marketing officers.
No.
No. Chief medical officers.
Okay.
There's only been one of them in the history of the NFL. And he's been a friend of the program for the last couple of years, coming on every single preseason and addressing all the shit that they addressed all offseason. Ladies and gentlemen, the CMO of the NFL, first and only, Dr. Alan Sill.
Yeah.
Doc, you look like you're in incredible shape. You're one of those doctors. Do you run a lot? Are you a big-time runner? You do a lot of the running, or what is your workout?
Yeah, I'm a runner and a cyclist. Afraid I'm getting slower and slower as the years go by, but I still get out there and get after it.
Yeah, it's the fact that you're moving is the only thing. I think. Have you been watching these Olympics? We've been winning the running and the cycling as of late, and I love everything about it, Doc.
Yeah, me too. We've watched a lot of the Olympics. Great appreciation. I don't understand a few of the sports, but I enjoy watching them. But definitely just incredible athleticism that's on display all up and down, and always a fun couple of weeks here.
Okay, I'm happy that you have the DR in front of your name and you don't understand the same shit we don't understand. That makes us feel better, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, team on three.
Yep.
Team on three. There
1, 2, 3, team. All right, we're in this together. Doctors with us. Yeah, we love that. Let's talk about a little football here, Doc. Obviously, the new kickoff rule is the talk of the town after the Hall of Fame game last week. As we roll into preseason, we're going to hear more about it. We're going to see how teams are going to utilize it. I don't think it's until the actual regular season that we'll really see the benefits of this particular play, because players that run 4.2s aren't going to be used in this particular play during preseason, yada, yada, yada. This was a necessity, is basically what was being said, to save the kickoff play. Is that an accurate depiction of it? And what type of injuries are you guys expecting from this particular kickoff setup as opposed to maybe the ones of the past?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good description, Pat. So you're always looking at the balance between trying to have an exciting part of the game and a safe part of the game. And obviously the ideal solution is something that satisfies both of those, that's both safe and exciting to those watching the game. And so what really motivated this was the very, very high rate on kickoffs of concussions over the years. It's been persistently high. You know, there have been a lot of changes made to that play in terms of blocking schemes and allowable interactions, and then obviously ultimately encouraging the touchbacks. But you know, it basically got to the point where that was a ceremonial play. It was a play that was not even really part of the game, and there was no action. And so from an entertainment standpoint, it was really suffering. And so I think the Challenge Competition Committee came back to us on the health and safety side is, hey, can you help us reimagine a play that would be exciting and yet safer? And so our engineers, our medical experts took a lot of inputs, looked at a lot of the things that have been done elsewhere. I know people have talked about other leagues, and really tried to break it down and say, okay, how are people getting hurt on the kickoff in the NFL? And how might some of these alternatives address that? So I'm personally really excited about it. Pat, I think it's going to be a really exciting play that fans are going to love and that players are going to appreciate, because it puts some skill back in the game that really had been lost from the game. And you saw probably recently, you know, with Devin Hester going in the Hall of Fame, that could never happen in the game a couple of years ago, because there just really was no role for kick returners the way the play had evolved.
Yeah, and with how good punters have gotten as well, you see a lot less punt returns taking place. So the fact that it's almost being forced back into the game is a beautiful thing. But there's a lot of people saying this isn't football. This isn't football. And I assume you hear that from old school football people with a lot of the changes that you make. What is your answer in response to that normally? And do you think that people will be able to get over the optics? Because optically it looks weird. Even as a football fan, I think we all agree it looks weird. This is actually a kickoff practice drill where people are trying to save legs. Now it's going to start games. Now it's going to be part of games. What is your answer whenever people bring up, like, we're losing football and it looks weird? Is there anything that we should be thinking from the NFL standpoint as we address it as well?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. First of all, it's been the nature of the NFL over 100 plus years to make changes and to evolve the game. And then if you go back prior to the NFL, I mean, the forward pass used to be illegal, right? So, I mean, people have always adjusted rules, whether it be the forward pass or a slap to the head or crackback blocks. They're just these things that we learn over time. They carry too high a risk of injury, and we need to make modifications. The second thing is everybody wants to see the best players on the field at all times, right? When you turn on a game, you want to see Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen. You want to see Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. So what can we do to keep the best players on the field and keep them as healthy as possible? And the third thing I would say is I think this is going to be a very exciting play. You're right. When you see it the first time, it looks odd. But I think there are going to be a lot more returns, a lot more big returns, a lot more returns for touchdowns. And I think that's going to add an element of excitement. What we're excited about on the health and safety side is all our modeling, all our predictions suggest that this should be a safer play overall, particularly for big injuries like concussion, spine injuries. And again, those are the things that really were starting to pile up and caused us to have to look at the play to begin with.
I saw Rob Ninkovich, former New England Patriot, former Boilermaker, multiple-time Super Bowl champion, special teamer, and D lineman, in the comments about this kickoff whenever we address it. He said there's going to be different injuries now because there's going to be like the hold-up injuries that happen offensive linemen. I'll be excited. Will you guys adapt or evolve this play through the year, or is this kind of set how it is right now?
No, we obviously continue to monitor the injuries. We have the same questions that you have, like, will there be other injuries? Is there a trade-off here that we didn't anticipate? So I think we have to just continue to monitor the data, continue to look at it carefully. But, we got to do so on an appropriate sample size. You can't just take 1 week's worth of data. You got to look at the numbers and see what happens across the board. We obviously got a lot of data and shared data with other leagues to see what they learned. But again, we're very excited about the play, but we will obviously continue to monitor it just like we do every aspect of the game every year.
Hey, maybe we let kickers have a heavier helmet so that, with all the tackles they're making, they can throw that thing around. Speaking of helmets, obviously football was introduced to the Guardian cap a few years back to save heads and brains from unnecessary hits during practices and things like that. Then there was a conversation that started like, these might get approved to be worn in the game. So what we all thought is the Guardian cap looked stupid. Us old football people looking back like that looks stupid. Then the Chargers did a little do-si-do with it. They had like a cotton cover of it so they could have the Chargers logo with the number on it, make it look more helmet-wise. So the Guardian on top of the helmet with a cover, you can still get the logo in there, looks more helmet-y. But then this safer helmet technology has now hit colleges this year where it's like a rubber top basically put on top of the helmet, and it has a plastic look, so it looks like it's just an added helmet on top of the helmet. What does the data say about the Guardians being added into practice reps, about brains and concussions and everything like that? And how quickly are we looking at the potential of Guardians being on a field or these new safer helmets making their way onto an NFL field?
Well, let me give you a couple bits of data. First of all, we started the Guardian cap requirement in practices in the preseason because that's where we were seeing the most head contact and lots of concussions that obviously, you'd like to avoid. And we actually didn't introduce the Guardian cap to reduce concussions.
Oh.
That may not make a lot of sense, but the idea was it was going to reduce that play after play blow that players can take, right? The lab modeling said you get about a 10 to 15% force reduction every time the helmet is hit if it's covered with a Guardian cap. And if you've got two players and they collide, then there's an additive effect. Now we're in the 20 to 30% range. So we introduced it thinking we'll help prevent some of that wear and tear of those forces that tend to pile up during heavy periods of contact, which, as you know, is that early training camp, early preseason period. When we did that, the first year, we were really surprised by the numbers, Pat. It came back, there was about a 50% drop in concussions in those players wearing the Guardian cap compared to what the 3-year average had been for those positions. And at the same time, the positions not wearing the Guardian cap actually went up a little bit. And so that was really unexpected. As I said, we were trying to reduce play after play force, but the Guardian cap seemed to have some protective effects. So based on that 1 year of data, we modified, added to it last year, got the same exact result, about a 50% drop in the 3-year average of concussions. And by the way, there have been some other leagues like the Canadian Football League that found sort of the same thing in their practice setting. So it really became a situation where we said, it's hard to ignore that data. And that's why we went ahead and made the push this year that all players on the practice field had to wear the Guardian cap during all helmeted practices, except for quarterbacks, kickers, and punters, because they're not getting hit anyway during practice. So the science is what drove us to rolling it out that way. Now, as far as the in-game usage, we have said that we will permit it to be worn in-game. The piece that you put up in the picture that's up on the screen right now is like a little cover that pulls over the Guardian cap. Actually, all 32 of our teams have those available to them now, and we've said if a player wants to wear the Guardian cap in-game, it does need to be covered with that cover just so it looks like all the other helmets. The reason we haven't mandated the Guardian cap in-game is we don't have that 10-year experience that we did with using it in practice. So we'll obviously be monitoring and tracking that, but I think you probably will see a few players wear it in-game with the cover on it. We've heard rumors that there may be a couple of players even this weekend, starting tonight, that may be wearing the Guardian cap in-game. So it's something, again, we'll monitor and we'll track that. As far as the other helmet add-ons you mentioned about the NCAA, again, our engineers, together with the Players Association engineers, are always looking at those add-ons and seeing if there's anything that's safer that's out there. My own personal belief, though, Pat, is that in a couple years, the technology that's part of these add-ons will actually be incorporated into the helmet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's like we're putting a helmet on top of a helmet. Why don't we just make that the initial helmet, it feels like?
That's obviously the direction we're going, and we've seen the helmets get better and better every single year. In fact, this year there were 12 new helmet models introduced into the NFL, and 6 of those tested better in our lab testing than anything we've ever seen. They're better materials, better design. They do a better force at mitigating force. And I think that makes sense if you think about our cars. I mean, our 2024 model, 2025 model cars have a lot more safety features on them, better materials, better design than, certainly cars even 8 or 10 years ago. Or, I've got an old 1995 farm truck. It doesn't have anything in it anymore as far as safety equipment. So that's the nature of helmets. They've gotten better, and they're just safer now because of what we've learned.
You don't have to register a farm truck. That's a good play by you. That's a good play by you. I know the game. I know the game you farmers are running with that entire thing. But you're right. I guess as technology evolves, it's only going to get better, which leads me to, for the Giants, Giants-Lions had quite a physical practice, but one of the clips is Terrion Arnold taking a shot from Thomas here, who's pulling as a tackle. And I believe the information that we've received since bringing this up in the first hour is like that helmet is a position-specific helmet to protect him. It's like a next-level helmet, so he does not have to wear the Guardian cap in the middle of this. Is that what it's going to be? And that's what we're kind of talking to here. And he utilized his helmet as a weapon, which I think will continue to be the case for some football players, especially in positions of contact. And Arnold just kind of has to eat it here, or what is that helmet the future of this entire thing?
Well, I mentioned those 12 new helmet models. I mentioned that 6 of them test better than any that we've ever seen. We actually call those Guardian Cap optional helmets because in the lab, they're testing at a level of safety that exceeds a regular helmet plus a Guardian Cap. So we said if you're wearing one of those 6 top helmets, you don't have to wear the Guardian Cap because you're just as protected. So we've seen about 25% of the linemen in the league are wearing one of those Guardian Cap optional helmets so far this season, one of those position-specific helmets. And so you will see some players on the practice field that don't have the Guardian Cap, but again, they're just as protected because they've got one of those, what we think are very, very safe helmets. Again, part of that's incentivizing them to try it and hope that they'll continue to use it because, Pat, our lab data has always done a really good job predicting what happens on field. So we think if something shows in the lab that it's safer, it ought to show up as a safer helmet on field with a lower concussion rate. And we love to get as many players in that as we can. And you mentioned this also. We're starting to see helmets for specific positions. Linemen have one helmet. Quarterbacks have a different helmet. I think, again, in 3 to 5 years, wide receivers, DBs will have a different helmet. You'll have different helmets based on what position you play because they'll give you more protection for that position.
That seems to make sense. I can't wait for that quarterback helmet to be...
Oh, yeah.
Like you actually can't fall over.
Right.
It's like a wheelie bar.
Yeah.
It's actually already out there. We had, I think, 10 quarterbacks that wore a quarterback-specific helmet last year. The numbers I saw this morning said about 20% of the quarterbacks in the league are already in a quarterback-specific helmet. Basically, it has extra padding in the back because quarterbacks tend to fall as they're throwing the ball in an unprotected way. They hit their head on the ground, and that's how they get concussed. So the quarterback helmet has kind of extra protection in the back of the helmet, the quarterback-specific helmet. And again, we saw about 10 players wear it last year, including some of the most well-known quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, you either put that helmet on or you do jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
It's one or the other. Shout out to Tua Tagovailoa. Go ahead, AJ.
How about both? You can do both.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, that's true. Doc, there's something that has kind of flown under the radar, I think, the last, 5-6 months is the grass versus turf debate. We heard a lot of players coming up talking about, hey, everything should be grass. There should be no field turf in the NFL. Have you guys had any research that you've stumbled upon over the last 3 to 5 months, and why aren't we hearing about it? Why isn't it in the news anymore? Is someone throttling all the results?
Yeah, is that you, Doc? Happening? You're telling everybody to shut up, Doc? Yeah, yeah.
That's not how we roll, Pat.
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, just before you answer this, I would like to let people that are new to our show. This guy comes on this show and sits in the pocket every single year, and we are football stooges, and we do not I pay the NFL, so it's not the other way around. They're not paying me, so it's like you really do answer everything. So I just want to make sure people know that this isn't like something new you're coming in here and you talk and have talked about everything through it all. We got massive respect for you, Doc. Legit.
Well, I appreciate it. I have respect for you guys. I hadn't been on in a while. I thought I'd made you mad or something, Pat, but I'm glad to be back with you guys.
Suits as a whole, kind of, there was a little bit of a, nonetheless, Doc, we're happy you're here. Happy you're here.
To answer your question, no, still a really active area of research. Again, together with the Players Association, the engineers on both sides are doing a lot more testing of fields. And, I'll just give you a really complicated topic boiled down to a couple sentences. It's not as simple as grass versus turf because we don't have just 2 surfaces. We've got 30 different surfaces. Every single stadium is different. And what we're trying to really understand is what are the physical characteristics that make a field safer versus not safe. And that's not just the material, but it's how you maintain it. It's the length of the blade. It's the infield. It's the moisture, et cetera, et cetera. So our focus has been on developing better ways to test that and then take those results, try to correlate it with injury and see what we can learn to get to the safest surface for everybody and also what you can maintain with some consistency. I think that's been a really big push this offseason is to narrow sort of the window of what is allowed to make the fields less different one from the other so that players can train on and know what to expect. So that's still a very active conversation. We're also working with FIFA and their World Cup surfaces and trying to learn from that. And so there's a lot of research and development going into that. That conversation is still very, very active.
Hey, are you guys talking about how the Copa American fans were getting into the Miami Dolphins Stadium at all over there with the NAF?
Should be.
You talking about that's dangerous.
Thankfully, that's not my department, Pat, but I'm sure it's being discussed.
I mean, that is because who knows if that thing goes this way at any point.
Bingo.
Might still have a couple of those guys in the vents.
We have no idea. Has anybody checked the vents at Hard Rock to see if there's any humans still in there? That was wild watching. Because just think about, I mean, it's pitch black, obviously.
Yeah.
Have your phone doing the whole thing. What if the part where it goes down because it has to get around something is a lot longer than you think, and now you're trapped in a...
And then a stack happens.
And then let alone whatever's coming through there.
Or if it gives out, you could be 75 feet in the air.
Hey, Doc, that's on your ass. You better figure that out. You better figure that entire thing out.
Pat, I got my hands full with everything we've talked about so far, but I'll tell you, we got a top-notch security team, and kidding aside, they do an unbelievable job. They take their job very seriously in working with all our clubs at our stadiums and international games and everything we have. So I trust them, and I know that they'll be on that issue just like they are on everything else.
Yeah, and I think they got called in immediately after the problem had already happened, and then they were like, yep, we'll sort this. We will figure this out throughout the entirety of the game, actually. We will go around here and figure this out. It's a beautiful thing. The NFL stadium looking that way was wild. I think we can all agree with that. Let's talk about, the unaffiliated neurological consultant. Bruce has a question for you.
Yeah, Doc, are there any changes to the in-game concussion protocol? I know last year with TJ Watt and even, people were crying for it when Patrick Mahomes' helmet broke in the cold. Are there any changes to that process this season?
Yeah, every year our head, neck, and spine committee works together with the league and the Player Association to look at the protocol and see if we want to make any significant changes. There's some very minor changes this year, nothing that fans would notice or that are significant. We're just emphasizing making sure we're asking about certain symptoms and things like that. But we'll still be using the blue tents. We still have the unaffiliated neuro doctors, one on each sideline, one up in the booth. We still have our spotters. And importantly, we've got a whole network of emergency preparedness doctors that are there. Something that most fans never think about and something that we hope to never use. But if you do have a situation like the Damar Hamlin situation or the situation in Kansas City in this offseason, we want to be prepared for that. So all that work goes in the preseason. Every single one of our teams actually practices those emergency scenarios. They go to their stadiums, they go to their training facilities. We have a company come in and evaluate and help them get better at that. So all of that work is something that goes on in the preseason to sort of get our medical staff just as ready for the season as the players get ready in their preseason as well.
We are incredibly lucky, I was at least, and I think AJ feels the exact same way. Through the history of the NFL, I guess there's some people that don't feel this. The medical team for the Colts took care of me. So they're a pivotal part of the entire operation over there. Not only just like with rehab and surgery and everything, but vibes and you got to have the right people in all of those situations. The Damar Hamlin situation, I mean, talk about being prepared and then executing whenever all eyes are on them. And that's because of the practice and preparation. I think you should be proud of your work, CMO, that you've been putting in there. I know there's a lot of other people. I know you're going to defer. Shut up. You should be very proud of what the medical departments have accomplished since the CMO has been instituted with the NFL. Connor has a question for you.
Doc, last year a big story was surrounding the Rodgers Achilles tear and then kind of his progression back and doing a new kind of Achilles rehab. Is that something that the NFL is aware of as far as different injuries and kind of new ways to heal certain ligaments? And also, what did you think about that whole entire process? Was that something that you kept an eye on just in case he did come back? And do you think that will become much more common going forward in the NFL?
Yeah, well, Achilles injuries are obviously something we track and look at because they're devastating injuries, costing players an entire season. So they're not very common. So again, you need enough of them to try to begin to understand what factors might be risk factors and what might be done, obviously, to avoid those injuries. That's the biggest thing we focus on for all injuries. What can we do upstream to prevent them? But we obviously follow the course of rehabs and treatments and what's being done. We, the NFL, don't intervene in any one player's care. That's obviously between the player and their practitioners. But, the same group of experts who tend to treat pro athletes in all sports are people that we talk to. They're people on our committee. For example, Dr. Bob Anderson, probably the most respected foot and ankle person in the world. He heads up our foot and ankle task force. And so we're constantly engaging with experts saying, hey, what can we learn? What else is out there? And by the way, doing that with other leagues around the world. We talk regularly to the other pro sports leagues in North America, to the European leagues, to leagues in Australia, really just looking to see what is anyone else learning or doing that could apply to our NFL athletes. So those are really active conversations about Achilles injuries, knee injuries, strains, everything on the books for us.
Doc, you have a massive brain, and this is not necessarily about decisions that you made, but it has felt like back in the day, the ACL was like, all right, death sentence to the season. It's over. That is now not really, feels like people are coming back from ACLs if they're done at the right time. The Achilles is the one that was seemingly now, if you have the Achilles, it's over. Like, that's how it is. This new technology or this new surgery, if that can change that, I'm just so impressed by the advancements in the medical world. Do you know, you say you keep track of that, but that would be a big benefit to the NFL if we were able to figure out the Achilles, right? Because that's seemingly the one that takes people out.
For sure, not just to the NFL, but sports all around the world. And I think one of the things we have to realize when we talk about whether it's the ACL, Achilles, not all of those are created the same. A small partial tear in an ACL is very different than a complete tear of the ACL, the PCL, the MCL. Same way with the Achilles. Where is it torn? Is it a complete tear? Has there been chronic injury to that ligament? So, we have a saying in medicine, you've seen one, what that means is that we have to learn to better characterize those injuries and figure out, okay, this group is going to be this way and best treated this way. This other group may need this other therapy, and they may have very different outcomes. So I do think, though, to your point, Pat, it's no longer considered a career-ending injury, and there's hope for players to get back, with appropriate treatment and care and rehab.
As we say, if you've seen one, you've seen one.
Amen.
Just like we say in law, a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich if they want.
Well said.
These are things that we say whenever we're in the profession and we're in the biz. It's nice to be here. How about something you're dealing with right now, seemingly more than ever? And I think it's because all the cows farting. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, definitely could be, Doc. Definitely in the entire U.S., but especially in the Midwest and on the East Coast. We've been going through like a historic heat wave for the better part of a few months here now. And in years past, we've heard of college guys, dying from either heat exhaustion or heat stroke during camp. And I don't think it's really happened in the NFL since Corey Stringer. But how do you guys handle a situation like that outside of just making sure guys are hydrated? Because obviously they need to get the work in before the season starts.
Well, you're very right that this is a big issue, and it's not just a big issue for the NFL. It's not just a big issue for football, but for all sports. And Tennessee is home for me. Most of our high schools are doing aggressive practices by the end of July. And so, this is a real issue at all levels of sport. And it starts with just a tremendous attitude or atmosphere of prevention and awareness. People have to know what to look for, and they have to be engaged enough to be able to modify when are we practicing, where are we practicing, can we move it to a cooler time of the day, what is the heat index today. Obviously, you got to prepare players and get them ready, but there are conditions where it just becomes pretty unsafe. And so that's step one, is planning ahead. Then you got to be ready to deal with and recognize possible heat illness or heat injury. And that, again, is where you got to have a very high index of suspicion. If you look at the numbers, it typically happens in linemen and heavier players, and it's almost always in practice sessions, not in games. So we have to know that that's where there's vulnerability, and you don't always have a whole full staff of medical people around, particularly at other levels of play. So in the NFL, our teams are always very vigilant about this. They practice heat illness scenarios, even down to how they're going to get someone into a cold tub, because that's the immediate treatment, is cool them, get their body temperature measured, and start cooling them. And I'll just tell you guys, here's something you might not think of. How do you get a 320-pound guy into a cold tub, particularly if he's only partially conscious? That's really hard to do. But if you practiced it, if you've got the equipment, if you've got the procedure down, now you're prepared to deal with it. And so it is something all of our medical staffs think about. It's something that I lay awake at night thinking about, because this is the time of year when we all have to be on top of that.
Anything else we're not hitting right now that you have spent a lot of time on going into the 2024 NFL season, Doc?
Yeah, I'll tell you the one thing, Pat, is just our international games. We're going to have our first ever game in Brazil here in a couple of weeks. I'll be down there. We've got a whole
Don't wear green! Don't wear green, Doc! Don't wear, is that real?
I got that message.
Okay.
I got that message.
So very real.
But, one thing, Pat, that the viewers might not know is, we have the same level of medical support and preparation for all those international games that we do for any game here, even up regular season or Super Bowl. So we've got to be prepared for any and all emergencies, surgeries, transports. So we spend a lot of time. We've got great partners down in in Brazil. Obviously, we'll be going to London again, and then we'll be going back to Munich. And we're already starting to look ahead at 2025 and markets we may be there. So that takes a lot of our time in preparing for the season. But I'm excited for the NFL to be able to be experienced in Brazil. I know the country's super excited about it.
Yeah, they've been a big NFL fan for a while. I think whenever we were licensing our show through DAZN, Brazil was massive. Germany was obviously massive. I think Italy had a pretty big stay as well.
Spain was huge.
Spain was big. So there is a lot of want for the NFL around the globe, but you don't think about the finer medical details too for these games. Hey, go play a game in Australia. Dr. Allen Steele's like, okay.
Well,
let's go ahead and do it. They flush the toilet the opposite direction. Let's see if they do the same things for everything else. We appreciate all your hard work. Thanks for making the NFL better, Doc.
Hey, man, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me on. Have a great season. I hope I'll see you soon.
Yeah, come back soon. Don't be dodge, duck, dip, diving, and dodging questions like you always do, Doc.
I'll come anytime you guys invite me.
You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Allen Steele.
Yeah, Doc.
He does sit in the pocket.
Oh, yeah. He's actually the man.
He's the right guy. They got the right guy.
When these Guardians were introduced, this guy... So, Doc, so you're supposed to look like an asshole while you're playing football? Is that what we're basically
Still do. You can put whatever you want on top of it. It looks horrendous.
I heard you go, as we were explaining the
question. The other one looks better. It basically sounds like, hey, new helmets are going to have this built in, and it's not going to look as bad.
Yeah, because Guardian is just a helmet on top of a helmet. And then the one that they're doing in college looks much better than Guardian, but it's just, okay, you're putting a helmet on top of a helmet. So I don't fully comprehend what we're doing. Sounds like next 3 to 5 years, these helmet companies know how much money is possible if we make the outside of the helmet also a part of the inside of the helmet. Doesn't matter how big it looks. You can look like an asshole. As long as we're safe, we keep it moving. There is a lot of business to be had and hopefully safety to gain from it.
Well, like even the Kittle and Bosa helmets that are like the next gen ones, like they do look weird. They absolutely do. And so it is kind of just that adjustment, kind of like the kickoff. Like, all right, we just got to get used to these massive like fronts.
Yeah, and then Zeke had that one
Big,
helmet. There's a new look coming, and that's kind of been taking place for a while with these helmets. We just got to get used to it. We want the game to survive and thrive going forward.
Amen. Yep.
And we don't want Dr. Will Smith in the future coming back saying, tell the truth.
No. Can't have it.
They're going to try to do their best. That's literally what that guy was hired for.
Yes.
So we appreciate him stopping by. He's going to make decisions that we all hate, but in his eyes, he's doing it for the future of the game. Football guy who also happens to be a brain surgeon. So
bingo.
We like him. Hammer, Dahn, Tone, what's up?
Yeah, I had a question for you and AJ. He said that we could potentially see a Guardian cap in the game as soon as tonight. What would be the reaction in the locker room by teammates?
Nowadays, I don't know what the locker room is.
Well, we know AJ would stuff him in a locker, but...
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that happens anymore. It'll be... what position do you think wears it first?
Guard.
O-lineman. It'll probably be an O-lineman that's got dinged up a bunch of times. I mean, which I get.
A kicker just needs to rip off the Band-Aid and say, hey, I got you guys.
Yeah.
Kicker or punter.
They got to make tackles now. Kickers making tackles on kickoff now, so maybe it will be.
They've always made tackles on kickoff.
Thank you. 20-something.
More now. They will be involved much more, I believe.
People forget about that. 20-something tackles.
Well, I mean, you're not the average kicker, though. You know that.
How bad was your coverage, team?
Yeah.
20 tackles. So how many times did you attempt?
I had 11 tackles in 1 year.
That's a lot.
I think I had 10 or 11 in 1 year. I led our special teams in tackles. That was the year we were almost completely defeated.
Yeah.
So think about how much worse it could have been.
And
could have been 10 more touchdowns.
And how much less kickoffs you had.
Yeah, we didn't score a lot.
Yeah,
Did you negotiate that into your contract? Like, hey, if I get more than 7 tackles this year, I want an extra $1 million.
Okay. I should have. Bad businessman, bad. Once the body starts feeling sore than anything, you got to stop. A man whose body is not sore because he performed at SummerSlam and he was just throwing bodies around.
Hell yeah.
We're swinging chairs. We're dropping 5-knuckle shuffles.
What?
We're delivering a choke slam from the top of Cleveland Brown Stadium through the ring to that no good Austin Theory. Ladies and gentlemen, multiple platinum time artist, CMA New Artist of the Year, currently the man who has the #1 song on earth right now with Lonely Road alongside MGK, and also the guy who sang the song that is going to lead college football this season, including College Game Day.
Yes.
Friend of the program, Jelly Roll.
Yeah!
Somebody clip it and send it to me. I need that intro for the show, baby. That's going to be the arena tour intro, dog.
Oh, hey, if you want one of those, I can certainly give you one of those too, so we know who we're talking to. Right now, I'm just talking to the world that watches our show every day, which we don't understand. But what I do know is the world is listening to you, Jelly Roll. I went on Spotify this morning just to check your monthly listeners. 23 million monthly listeners. Hey, you fucking did it, Jelly Roll. Let's
go.
You did it, buddy. How's life? How are you feeling? And where are you right now?
Dude, it's unreal, man. I'm at the airport. I'm on my way to Las Vegas, Nevada. I've got a show with D. Morgan Wallen tonight at Allegiant Stadium. I'm just coming off the SummerSlam choke of the year, baby. I'm feeling good. I'm on a McAfee show. Listen, think about this. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm hyped. I've always wanted to be on the show. I'm a big fan. Boston, AJ, so good to see y'all. This is really, really cool.
It's an honor.
But this is super, super fire. But yeah, this is unreal. So imagine I had the SummerSlam theme song and announced the College Game Day theme song the same week.
Yeah, well, Jelly Roll, you've earned it all, bud. You know, you don't just fall to the top of the mountain, Bubba. This guy's been on tour for like 6 weeks straight.
Damn.
Okay, like 6 weeks straight, this guy's been living on a bus, grinding at the top of the mountain still, grinding away. Obviously, his pipes are golden, but this man's work ethic and the story that you have from where you come from to where you are to continuing to persevere, you're an inspiration to me. I told you this. You're an inspiration to me and many others, and it's great to see the good guy win. Now, with that being said, Get By is a song that'll be the song and the theme of college football. ESPN sent us a college football reel with the song on it. This is the debut, ladies and gentlemen.
Is this it?
This is it, Jelly! Go ahead, run that.
It is back.
The most electrifying thing.
Welcome to a new era of college football.
I light every bridge I see here just to watch it burn.
Watch it burn.
If you've seen all the hell I've seen, it make your stomach turn. I think you know.
We introduced the next head football coach.
We got a potential superstar on our hands.
We ain't coming no more.
We back.
This place is gonna rock.
I could tell some stories about some things you won't believe.
4 teams to 12.
College football is completely different.
We're going to see a lot of unexpected things happen.
I might hurt a little. I might counting down the good times, staring down the clock. Throw some hallelujahs to the big man in the sky. Show up Sunday morning looking just like last night. Yeah, that's how I get by.
What a highlight.
Oh, that's how I get by. Show up Sunday morning smelling just like last night.
Look at this.
I might hurt a little. I might work a lot.
This is about as good as it gets.
That's college football. Yeah, that's how I get by.
Never seen anything like it.
Lord, that's how I get by.
Hey, Jelly Roll, baby!
Let's go! That was my first time seeing it, McAfee, baby.
Yeah.
What about that, Bubba?
Hey.
What about that, Bubba?
Hey, Bubba, it was awesome.
Crazy.
And I saw you reacting. I recorded your reactions to it as you kind of got emotional and excited. Obviously, you're from the South. College football is a big deal. When you get this call to do this, how excited are you?
I tell people, man, it's real easy where I'm from, dude. It goes college football, Jesus, Leonard Skinner. It's in that order, man. People pick college football over Jesus because college came on Saturday, not Sunday. God made college football before he took a day off. You know what I'm saying? This is a big deal, dude. This is huge, man.
You crushed it, too. That song is a banger. Go ahead, AJ.
Hey, are you actually are you able to enjoy this moment that you're living in? I say all the time to Pat and them, like, hey, like people talk about the good old days, and I try to say, no, we're in the good old days always. Like let's create the good old days and just really enjoy it. It feels like you're actually someone who kind of embraces it and knows, like, hey, this is a pretty awesome time in my life, and I'm just going to continue going. And you're not like anxious or worried that it might end. Are you in the moment here and just enjoying everything? Man, I'm so in the moment, dude. I practically don't have a phone. I mean, I am so present. Me and McAfee hung out in the green room the other day for an hour, and I don't think either one of us knew we had a phone. You know, I mean, everywhere we are, had the craziest moment, Undertakers, and I mean, it's the wildest experience ever, right? And I relate to y'all in the aspect of I, too, am living the dumbest life ever. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous that I'm fixing to get on a private plane to go play Allegiant Stadium with Morgan Wallen, and then I may or may not fly to go see Kill Tony at Madison Square Garden Friday just because I can. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's wild. You know what I mean? Just because that's my boy and he's making his debut there. It's cool, man. The Iowa State Fair Saturday, dude. I'm ripping and running, baby. I played Sturgis Tuesday. I'm on the road.
Yeah, so we're Sturgis, and then we're Vegas.
Connor?
Then we're New York.
I went Sturgis to Nashville. We're opening a new juvenile here in Davidson County. And, I was a product of the system here in my hometown, Pat. And we opened they did the groundbreaking today of the new juvenile, and they're putting my studio in that juvenile while they build it. So it's going to be really, really cool. So I flew back to Nashville just for that, and now to Vegas for the show tonight.
Okay, so I saw you speak to Congress, whatever. I don't know which one they are. You spoke to somebody in D.C., and you gave an entire...
I spoke to somebody we didn't deserve to speak to.
Yeah, bingo. That's exactly. But as I'm watching, I'm like, these people need to speak to people like you more often. It feels like you are trying to make the world a better place with everything you do, which is why I think everybody kind of gravitates to you. How often do you think about like trying to change somebody who's potentially going down your road into making it a better one and showcasing to them like, hey, you can go to Kill Tony in Madison Square Garden one night and you go to Morgan Wallen the other, and you can be sitting in the same cell. Okay, because I was in there literally, and you could be that person. How often are you worrying about that, and how often do you think about that as like a role in your life?
Man, every day, Bubba. I made a decision whenever this thing started. I spent so long tearing people down that I want to build people up. You know what I mean? I was such a problem for such a long time that I'm now a solution. And I just think that it's important, man. I decided that I used to think I wanted to be happy, and I say it all the time. Now I just want to be useful. You know what I mean? Now I just want to be a purpose.
How your energy levels are absurd. We talked about this the other day. The way you described it different than me. It wasn't why I was asking you the question, but you always have juice. You always have energy. Have you always been this way?
Yeah, man. Now, you know what I mean? I'm just excited about life, and I'm starting to take my health more serious. I mean, dude, it's kind of like I'm not going to act like things aren't incredible right now. I mean, this is awesome. You know what I'm saying? This is really, really cool, man. Shout out my brother, Roger Vaughn. I know you're watching. Big fan of the show.
Hey, Roger Vaughn, what up, dude? Appreciate the hell out of you. You said you're worried about your health. Your thing is jelly roll, you know?
Yeah, right.
Do you worry about that? Do you worry? Like,
yeah, we might just get rid of the roll and just be jelly. Just let it jiggle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We might get rid of the rolls and keep the jelly. I think I'd still be sexy in me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You'd be toned and ripped up. Are you trying to get fit? Is that a goal right now?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got to by next year, dude, because I got unfinished business in the WWE.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You walking in absolutely jacked would be amazing. As we hit a hard out here on ESPN, we'll continue on YouTube, ESPN Plus, and TikTok Live with our conversation with Jelly Roll, who you obviously know.
This is crazy. We're on
you should
ESPN.
listen more to. Yeah, we're on ESPN. We're out right now, Jelly Roll, actually. We'll see you tomorrow.
Love y'all.
Yeah, bingo. And you're going to be on ESPN all year, though, with that. Get by.
Yeah, yep. It's still crazy to me that y'all are on ESPN.
Yeah, Jelly.
Same.
Yep.
Mr. Jelly. Yeah, I think you and I, Chad, you've been watching for a long time. The fact that we're on ESPN is very stupid as well. And we all share.
It's part of the dumbest life ever, man.
Boom. You and me both. Con Man's got a question for you, Jelly.
Yeah, Jelly, honored to talk to you. I saw a tweet from you, I think a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago when the Eminem album came out. What was it like kind of being in the studio with him? Because he is such an icon for such a long time. And how has that experience helped you, recording your future music?
It's really cool. I actually didn't get there when we recorded. This is Inside Baseball. I wasn't there when he recorded the record, but we sent the record over and he sent it back whenever he had finished it. But when we finally got to meet, and we've hung out a few times now, the first time I met him, I talked so much I had to tell him I was sorry I was talking so much. You ever been that nervous that you finally just admit it? You're like, I'm sorry, I'm just talking too much.
Yeah. Feels like I've dominated this conversation. That's on me. Next time maybe we'll learn something about you. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And I was just so nervous, and he's so like naturally stoic. You know what I mean? Like Marshall's like stoic like that, like in real life. He's funny though. He's real funny, but it's like that real kind of that different kind of funny, So it was really cool, man. I left. It was one of those things where I met my hero and I wasn't disappointed.
Okay, speaking of your hero being Marshall, which is cool. That's got to be cool you're on that. Mm-hmm. Marshall. I just hit up Marshall.
Yeah, no big deal.
But now at this point, it feels like you've probably met everybody and everybody's a fan of yours. Anybody in the business that's come up to you and said like, hey, I love listening to your music, that is really, sent you into a little bit of a fucked up, like, wow, I cannot believe this person knows who I am. Happens to me all the time. Whenever you told me that you watched the show, I was like, damn, that's like really, really cool. Anybody else like that in the music business to you?
The biggest one is, and I don't know if this is even true, but when I played Pine Knob, which is in Detroit, Michigan, it's on a place called Bob Seger Way. I'm a huge Seger guy.
Hell yeah.
Right? Like, I am a Seger dude. And this sweet old man pulls up to the backstage of this amphitheater and jumps out. And this is what the arena tells me. And I don't know if this is true or not. They said this was like Bob's tour manager or right-hand man his whole career. And he showed up and he was like, hey, Bob couldn't make it, but he wanted me to drop Jelly Roll something off. And they gave me this big gift box of like all these old Bob Seger records and old Bob Seger merch and hats and stuff. And it was like, the fact that Bob Seger might know who I am, I cried in my green room that night. I didn't even meet Bob Seger. I cried just thinking that they might be telling me the truth, that he knows who I am.
And also a really cool move if they're lying to you. Like, hey, Bob Seger, fucking.
Also nice. If they went and bought them off from the record store.
Bob Seger's here and just go, wait a fucking. Somebody tell that guy.
I'll buy him a bunch of Bob Seger shit and tell him he sent it.
That's good hospitality. Do you feel like you got to do that to other people now who potentially look up to you? Because obviously you've been in country here for just such a short time, but in music as a whole, obviously, I told you I've been listening to the Jelly Roll since we were, rapper Jelly Roll.
Yes, baby.
And I assume, and you showcased that on a couple of those songs, you had the pipes, but until you fully commit to singing through this entire thing, I assume you feel obligated to tell younger people in music if you're a fan or if they're good, because it could change their entire trajectory almost?
Yeah, for sure. And I try to go out of my way to do it. Have y'all heard of Tucker Wetmore?
I'm right
This kid's buzzing pretty hard right now. It's he's like a young kid that's really killing it. Him and Jackson Dean are a couple that I reach out to often. Jackson Dean's killer. Write down Jackson Dean. You will love Jackson.
I got Tucker Wentmore.
Tucker, I'm not sure you'll love him. He's got good music, but Jackson's more your speed. He's an outlaw. But I just reached out to both of them just blindly. I don't even know if they knew who I was. Just like, hey, I just want you to know I'm a fan. And I hit Tucker and was like, yo, he's exploding like really fast. And I was like, hey, I know that feeling, man, that rocket. When it starts riding, you don't expect it. If you need somebody to bounce something off of, call me. So I try to always be the mentor if I can. Dude, I'm fucking 40. You know what I mean? It's like I'm kind of the OG by accident in this game in our genre anyway.
OG, you're like the grizzled rook. You're like the grizzled rook in this entire thing. Perfect guy.
Yeah, I'm the veteran in the locker room. I'm Miz.
Hey,
I'm Miz back here.
What a legend.
You know what I'm saying?
What a legend.
Right? What a legend. Absolute legend. Yeah. I'm Miz. You know what I'm saying?
But you got some titles.
That side of the Miz.
And you got rhythm. Miz can't even say, what's up at the right time. But he is. We love the Miz around here. Go ahead, AJ.
Joe, is there anyone that you haven't worked with that you want to that's kind of like on your bucket list or whatever that you can maybe collab with? And also, anything that you haven't done? Like, do you want to jump into some acting? Also, have you met Tom Cruise? Have you come across him? Because I would imagine that'd be tough. If Tom tells you he likes your stuff, that would be tough. You could probably just pass out and die. That'd be crazy. I don't want to name drop, but I do. Sylvester Stallone knows I'm a human, and he likes my stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton reached out. That was cool. Nice. Those were the ones that I was like, this is cool. You know what I'm saying? I tell you a Billy Bob Thornton story I probably shouldn't tell. I hope you don't hate me for this. The day of the CMTs, he's presenting an award, and I hug him backstage because I'm a huge Billy Bob fan. I'm like, oh, shit, it's Billy Bob. And I'm hugging him, and he whispers in my ear, he said, you better not tell nobody, but I hope you win this thing. I just started shaking. And so he presents the award, the final award that night, and I win, and he gives it to me. And when I hug him, he whispers in my ear, he goes, I told you. The coolest. Yeah, I'd love to act, though, AJ, man. I'd love to get into acting. I want to tell stories, and I don't know that I'll always do it in music form. You know what I mean? I love storytelling. I think it's the plight of an artist, and I just want to tell more stories, whether that's in the WWE universe or whether that's in the world of acting or just writing scripts or just writing songs for other people. I just want to continue to tell stories any way I can.
You've mentioned WWE a couple times. You grow up as a fan. Obviously, you and I chatted about this behind scenes, but like anytime some outsider comes into wrestling, as wrestling fans, we understand how wrestling fans can react sometimes. So I understood that there was a chance that people were going to hate me, but boy, everybody in Cleveland loved Jelly Roll. And then the internet's reaction to what you did, massive. Everybody's like, you were made for this. You're made for this. How did it feel in there? You had to feel damn good.
It felt so good. I'm watching the clip with y'all right now like a little nerd. I can't quit watching this clip, by the way, McAfee. I never watch back interviews or shows or nothing, and I've watched this clip. Look at this. Shimmy, shimmy, shuffle. Boom, bam. Look at that dude. Butter bomb biscuits, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's some real jelly power, baby. That's some real jelly power. But everybody loved it, man. Everybody loved it. And your performance at the beginning, you got Big Cody on the drums.
Legend.
Yes. Oh, dude, stop it. Cody's going to lose his mind right now. Our whole band watches this show every single day. Pork Chop, there he is. You don't know what this picture has done for his ego. He immediately wanted to start flying first class. He sent an email the next day and requested a different flight.
He said, excuse me, yesterday's seat is not today's seat. I don't know because I got a chance to meet him before the show. Like, Jelly talked about, we were in his green room beforehand. Taker came by. A couple of the people that have been for the WWE for a long time have been there. We chit-chatted a little bit. I think there was some THC that was presented at some time.
Oh,
you know, it was it was a good time. It was we had a blast in there. When this dude walked into the room, I literally saw him and I said, holy fuck, what is that? And he responded the same thing back, you know? So he obviously a fan of the program, but I've never seen a more electric looking human.
Yeah.
And then whenever you guys came out to perform in that ring, he's performing. He is, like, you know how drummers are normally sitting down or whatever? He's standing doing his entire, he's a weapon. The dude is an absolute
He stands and starts making people clap. He's the guy. Yeah. No, he is the dude, man. He's our rock and roll star, dog. He's our dude, man. He's our AJ Hawk.
Oh, can he?
Wow, I can't compare to that guy. I can't compare to him.
To the question you just kind of answered there a little bit, let's head to Hammer. Dahn. Tone Diggs.
Yeah, Mr. Roll, and I'm still going to call you Mr. Roll because next year you'll just be Mr. Jelly. But I wanted to ask you because AJ said, do you have any people that you want to perform with or whatever? And Pat talked about your musical background before country. What do you think about Posty and what he's doing? Because he's playing literally with all the biggest stars. Do you have any aspirations of you and Post doing something together?
Man, I don't. It's a great place to say it. I should say it here. I'm on Post Malone's album. I'll be on Post Malone's album. It's coming out next Friday. Yeah, big week for the boy. Big week for the boy. It's called Loser. I love this song. This song is one of the coolest songs. Ernest wrote it with Post. They sent it to me. I thought it was one of the greatest songs ever. I think what Post is doing is magical, man. I think that it's so cool. I think him and Morgan connecting was the two biggest artists on earth connecting at the biggest. I mean, this is Wallen's third year of having the song of the summer, right? So let's just think about what Post, the eyes that are on country music, right? I'm one of those guys, man. I'm not like one of these purists that's weird. I'm like, the more eyes on what we do, the better. I don't care how you find us, just come one, come all. And I think Post is shining the great, and he's doing it so right. Dude, that dude played Stagecoach. Have y'all ever been to Stagecoach?
I don't think so.
If I play it next year, please. I know Saturdays are busy for y'all, but this is a spring Saturday. But it's the biggest night in country music, 70,000, 80,000 people. It's where Coachella happens. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like that big of a deal. 80,000 people. Post Malone opens up for, who did he open up for that night? Do you remember? I don't remember who had the stage that night, but he wasn't the main act. He was direct support, and he did 1 hour of country music cover songs.
Oh, that's awesome.
He didn't play one Post Malone song. This dude is one of the only artists ever to have 3 different diamond singles, ever. And he didn't sing one of them. That's how pure Post. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry I went on a rant there, but I sing Post Malone's praises from the rooftop because people are not singing it enough. He has been a blessing to country music. He's done it right. He has honored the genre so perfectly. He put 14 of the biggest country music artists on earth on his album. I think he only has 3 country songs that don't have a feature.
Yeah, so he's trying to pay his respects, I think, to the people that are currently in there while also wanting to experience and create some country music. He's from Texas. You know, there's a chance he listened to country music growing up in this entire thing. And
y'all know his first YouTube was that him singing that Bob Dylan song. Have y'all ever seen that? When he was like 16, he's like singing a Bob Dylan record with a guitar.
I don't know if I saw that video. I did see an old Post Malone video.
Yeah, a little different.
There's a different one.
Oh, y'all seen him dancing. Y'all seen him when he was wearing the butt cheek shorts.
Yeah.
The butt cheek shorts was not a good look, Posty. But he's
okay, so you're on the album. That's a big deal. Blake's on the album. Morgan's on the album. Jelly Roll's on the Luke Combs on the album. Damn.
Tim McGraw. I think Tim McGraw's on the album.
What?
Yeah. It's crazy.
With the green grass coach?
You
ever
work out with Tim? You ever work out with Tim, Joey? That dude is jacked. No, but Russell Dickerson said that the tour workout, he makes everybody on tour work out with him, and it is brutal. Russell Dickerson's like a machine too, dude. He's a weapon, and he was like, yo, this dude beat me down.
That's what you're getting in shape for. You're trying to train. You're trying to tour with McGraw here in like 2-3 years.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah, it's like the Olympics.
That dude is getting. Yeah, we're two totally different people, man. I'd love to tour with him, but I'd be like, look, I'll work out with you if you smoke a joint with me. You know what I'm saying?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
We'll balance it out. We go to my little tent afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do your hill run and amphitheater run before the show, but after the show, you need to make an appearance with my people.
They're pushing sleds up hills, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, but this is what you're going to look like 2-3 years, Jelly.
Bingo.
Yeah. Golly, dude.
Hey.
I don't think I'll ever look like that bad. I don't think
I have faith in Jelly. I have faith. So Post, starts in rap and then comes into country music. You, same thing. You always had this voice, though? Like, you always had this voice?
I guess I didn't know it, though. My whole family was horrible singers, and I just thought I was one of the other drunk alley cats. I just assumed we all sucked together. You know what I'm saying? Because every time we'd sing, we sounded really bad. So, and then I was afraid to open up. So in my early mixtape, like, you remember this record, because when you said this to me, I almost cried. You were like, this one of them songs that they put on when you on the interstate, then you feel alone. Yeah, and
when
the band
everything's
plays
wrong.
on.
Yeah. Banger.
So
with Lil White.
I didn't know I was singing back then. Shout out my Bubba Lil White, still my Bubba today. I didn't know I was singing back then, because now I would have sung it more like, I just woke up. I mean, I hope it don't say. But this one of them songs that you put on when you on the interstate and feeling all alone, when everything is wrong and the band plays on. Right? I didn't know I could do that thing.
Little sauce on that thing.
Songs
Yeah.
you put on. So I was trying then. I just didn't know.
God.
I had no formal training. I have
When'd
no
you find
music
out?
theory
When'd you find
training.
out? When'd you find out that you could really sing?
I was singing old time rock and roll for karaoke at a bar. Back to Bob Seger. She, it's my go-to. You got a go-to karaoke song?
Cup of Life, Ricky Martin. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, AJ? I do not have one. I'm open for suggestions if you think there's any good ones out there.
AJ's not
Con man, anybody on the panel? Come on, somebody confess a sin here.
Toto Africa is probably one of the go-tos.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, these are for people that can't sing, you see. The Cup of
Bingo.
Life, Ricky Martin is like, here we go. And then the rest of the place goes, ole, ole, ole. So
That's it. Pick a song everybody knows. That's why I do rock and roll. Just take those old rock and roll. Yeah. So I'm just fucking with it. And a producer comes up to me and goes, yo, we worked that day and we did like some rap stuff. And he was like, why are you not doing that? And I was like, I'm bad at it. He was like, you're great at it. We need to do that. And I was like, all right. And sure enough, it was that easy for me.
Yeah, and you are.
Shout out that guy.
And yeah, shout out to that producer, that karaoke night, that song, Bob Seger, but also the fact that you sound exactly like the Spotify whenever you're performing live. Like in Cleveland, you and I were literally smoking 15, 20 minutes before that. So smoke, the whole thing, you never know. On the road for 6 weeks, could have some congestion. Didn't see you inhaling any steam or doing anything like that. And then he walks out there and it's like, what was it, God Bless America? And then right into Liar, which is take some real singing in there. It's like you didn't miss a beat.
Liar's a high note.
Yeah, you're good. You hit the whole thing. I was so impressed. I was so damn impressed because it wasn't like the song was playing. That was you fucking singing. So it was, that was awesome.
Thank you. And you know what? I'll be honest enough to tell you, when it works, and sometimes it don't, right? Because I'm still so new to singing. Some nights I'll just go out there and blow it or miss it. But when I got it, baby. I'm learning so much. I'm playing the guitar more every day. I'm turning into something, man.
Hey,
God gave me this seat. I'm taking it serious.
Honing the craft, which we're all thankful for. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Jelly, you mentioned Allegiant Stadium tonight. I don't think you've ever played the Iowa State Fair, but that's a great venue. They're going to go fucking ape shit for you there.
That's top 10 state fair.
It is.
Top 10 state fair.
It is unbelievable. Make sure you kind of mosey around and check out the sights and sounds because it will knock your socks off. But in terms of venues as a whole, is there one that kind of stands above the rest in your mind, or one that you haven't played yet that you're like, oh, I need to go, tear the house down at this place?
Oh, great question, man. I love the Gorge. Is beautiful in Washington. Have y'all ever been to the Gorge? The Gorge or Red Rocks are the two prettiest amphitheaters. Yeah, it's in America for sure. I haven't traveled abroad too much, but those are great. If you've never been to see a show at the Gorge, it's awesome. I want a headline. I got to open up for Eric Church 2 nights there last year, but I really want to. It's a different thing when you play a venue and it's not your house than when it is your house. You know what I mean? It's two totally different feelings. So I want to go back there really bad. Favorite place to play, though, is always back home. Back home, and I'm not just saying this because of y'all. I swear, either back home Columbus, Ohio, or Indianapolis, Indiana. Those 3 cities are the 3 cities I've been going to the longest, and it's always pandemonium. When we played the Ruoff Amphitheater last year, 25,000 people, the walls shaking. They said it was the loudest concert they've had there in 10 years.
Yeah, we love you here, bud. We absolutely
Indiana's
love you here.
different, man. It is different. Dude.
Yeah, that amphitheater, I did not know, like you go from theater shows or like, I guess, room shows to theater shows, which like a couple thousand, you know, can get up to 6,000. I think in theaters, 7,000, 8,000 in some theaters. I assumed that the amphitheaters were smaller than the arenas. I thought then you go theater, amphitheater, arena. Arena like 18,000, 16,000, 15,000 on the high end. These amphitheaters, the one in Indianapolis, you said 25,000, 26, like that is so many. Huge. Those amphitheaters
There's
are
so
huge.
many like that.
I did not know that.
Buffalo, New York ones, the Verizon one outside of Boston. There's so I can name them all them old summer shed tours, the Lollapaloozas back in the 90s. That's where the Lollapalooza tours went. They started the sheds in like the late 70s and early 80s. So this is the difference between the two. The arena show is more prestigious as an artist because we get to I'm doing my first full arena, all arena tour this year.
Hey, let's go.
And thank you, brother. Big deal for me. 57 cities, tickets available at jellyroll615.com. Shameless plug. This is the biggest show on the fucking.
Not a shameless plug, not the biggest show, but hell yeah, we will be there. We will be there.
Yeah. Please, y'all come. But it's like when I get to do an arena, you get to build your production however you want it. The arena is like a blank slate. Where when you do an amphitheater, that's why the arena tickets cost more. Amphitheater tours are cheaper because the sound and infrastructure is already built.
Got it.
But in an arena, I get to build every light in the house. I get to hang every light from every ceiling, every direction. I get to build every stage. I have multiple stages on this next tour. Like, it's crazy. When you come see the setup, I'm touching every part of this arena.
Are you getting sent up out of the sky like Rey Mysterio back in the way up out of the stage? You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I'm going to say this, and I say this with love and respect, and I hope this encourages people. I believe we're going to put on the best tour of this year. I think production-wise, there will not be a better tour this year, respectfully. And these are all my friends that I'm saying this about. You know what I mean? I've been to all their shows, and I love them. I'm telling you, man, I spent the money. I was not afraid, Pat. You'd be proud. Hey. I put my balls on the table, dude. It is crazy.
Hey, but the ROI is going to be worth it. You know, anytime you invest in something, the payback always comes around. You know, the universe is a real thing. So
that's it. We're putting on a good show.
I can't wait.
That's all that matters.
I can't wait to see the Beautifully Broken tour whenever you come to our town. I can't wait to see it in another town if I happen to be near that town whenever the show's happening. And I can't wait to experience Saturdays alongside your song, Get By, which is available when? Do we know when Get By is going to be out?
Hey, here's my manager, John Manila. When's Get By get out there? Asking. When we putting it out? August 23rd. We got a release date.
Let's go. So we have Get By on August 23rd. Lonely Road's out right now with MGK. And Liar, which was the single that was the song of SummerSlam, which is an absolute banger, will be a part of an album that's coming out
in the fall time coming out. Have we announced the album release date yet, or can I do that here on Pat McAfee Show too? Can I release that album release date yet or no? October 11th.
Let's go! All right.
My manager looked me in the eye and said, technically, no. And I'm like, October 11th.
Okay, we didn't hear it. We'll dump it. October 11th, something magical's coming, though. We'll dump it. We'll dump it.
It's gonna be a big fall.
Hey, Jelly Roll, we appreciate you. Safe travels to Allegiant and to Madison Square Garden and everywhere else that you head to. We can't wait to see you on the road. What you're putting out into the world, I'm happy to hear that it's coming back tenfold. You're enjoying it. You're the right guy for this platform, and we love you, man.
I love y'all more, man. Really, the whole crew, bro. I love all y'all, man. We are truly, my band is a fan. This ain't no shit we're talking. We're not one of these artists coming and blow y'all like we the only way we consume sports is through this show. This is it. This is the only way. Even if we hear of a sports breaking, we Google the news and then put McAfee beside it show to see what y'all say about it first. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
I love y'all, man. Y'all have changed culture, man. It's been really, really. Nobody gives y'all's flowers enough. Y'all deserve it. Y'all earned it. You fucking yins fucks. I don't know if you really deserved it, but you definitely earned it. You know
Nobody deserves what we have right now, but we've earned it. We appreciate you. You're the best, ladies and gentlemen.
I love y'all, boys.
We love you too.
McAfee.
Yeah, we love you too. Jelly Roll, brother. That was awesome. Yeah, when I got to meet him finally in person, because we've exchanged text messages because he sent a question. Somebody from WWE named Neil. Neil's the guy. He's the music connect at WWE. He's been there for a long time. He's like, hey, Jelly has a question for you. And I'm like, Jelly, what's a Jelly? And they're like, Jelly Roll. I'm like, Jelly Roll has a question for me. That's fucking sweet. Can I give him your number? Yes, you can give Jelly Roll my fucking number. So I get a text and it's about the show. And I'm like, Jelly Roll, you know our show exists? He goes, Bubba, we watch every day. You are our only show. And that was before we got on ESPN. So it's like, he actually told me one time, and it's interesting, his song with Post Malone's going to be Loser. Because his comment to me was like, hey, whenever we see you up there, we feel like one of us has made it, like another loser has made it. Like we very much connect to what you are doing or whatever. And I'm like, I appreciate that, Jelly Roll. And he meant loser in like a positive way.
Sure.
Obviously, like somebody that wasn't supposed to, and then he make it. So like, he's inspiring, man. He's changing the world, and his pipes are fucking good.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Guy can sing.
I mean, he is. That Cleveland, that performance, knowing what he was potentially going to get in some shit later where there could be some nerves or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just hanging, smoking Jelly Rolls strand.
Yeah.
Like
Jelly's jelly.
Yeah, we're in there doing it. And then I'm like, you got to sing, right? He's like, you got to fucking talk. I'm like, yeah, a little different animal here. This is every day. He's, well, what do you think, Bubba? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
Same, we're similar.
Yeah.
Simpatico. Got it as we go. So it's always nice to see that. All right. Well, today we have massive things to watch tonight.
Huge.
Yep.
2 preseason games, AJ. Okay?
Yeah,
Panthers,
massive.
Patriots, Lions, Giants. AJ, make a selection. Who do you like? How do you like them?
Tonight, I like the Lions at the Giants. I just think they'll figure it out. And then Panthers, Patriots. Give me the Patriots because I think Con Man's been doing great on NCAA 25, 2K, whatever you call it.
Sure. Yeah, vibe's good. Yeah, he's coach of the Ohio State, AJ.
Congratulations.
4 weeks.
Dutch Danger is the coach of Ohio State in 4 weeks in the year 2031 on 2K College Football 25. I'll make the same selections as you. Give me the Lions, give me the Patriots, just strictly from what we heard today from the Field of Beat segment, which we appreciate everybody stopping by and giving us all the inside scoop that we maybe don't get to follow as closely with. Field of Beat's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It's so easy just because those people actually, like, they live and die with those fucking teams. Obviously, we have ours, but, like, They are on that.
They're embedded.
They're
like
there
embedded
every
with those
day.
teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tone from Hammer, Dahn. What are some of the Olympic stuff we can look forward to?
The 200-meter final men's is coming up in about 15 minutes. Noah Lyles goes for gold in the 100 and the 200. USA water polo is up 6-5 right now on Australia in the semis.
Let's go!
So that one's huge. USA-Serbia at 3 p.m. in the semis there as well. And then tomorrow morning you got the USA the USA, where was it? Oh, no.
We got the golf in the morning.
Well, the golf.
Girls golf, right?
Nelly Cordes 6 strokes back. So, but yeah, that starts in the morning.
She'll come back. It's America.
That's fine.
Moving day.
Yeah, that's what USA's been doing in these Olympics.
Come back, sit.
Coming back.
Sorry, it was the women's women's basketball team tomorrow, 11:30 a.m.
Hey, they're on like a 50-whatever game win streak.
58.
Got a little close, right?
Yeah.
14 points was the final, but
Close.
Yeah.
14 points.
Tight.
Yeah.
All right, let's go win some more gold medals and medals as a whole. We're at 95 medals as of this morning, trying to break 100. Obviously, we have more golds than anybody, more silvers than anybody, more bronzes than anybody. We appreciate you, Tone. Way to go.
Thank you, boys.
All right, be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. We're back tomorrow, okay? And we're in this thing together. Team on me. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3. Team. Goodbye.